You're listening to the Tumbling Saber Podcast, a member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Check us out on the web at starwarscommonwealth.com, on iTunes, Facebook, and Twitter, and take your first step into a larger world.
Hello chaps. So, something's gone on down in Orlando, and my question this week is quite simply, Star Wars Celebration, what the hell just happened?
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 71 of the Tumbling Saber Podcast. My name's Kyle.
I'm Corey.
And I'm Rob.
Hey, Rob from Talk Star Wars.
Hey. Hello, guys.
We didn't even rehearse that, and he just caught right on.
I know. I'm just a pro, mate. This is what happens.
Sometimes I lay these little traps for Corey and James, and I just leave things hanging, and neither of them know who needs to speak. But you just picked right up there.
Yeah. I'm a pro at this game, man. I know I'm watching for signs of traps, and Admiral Light Bars taught me well.
Nice. Well, this is our Commiseration Orlando episode. Those of you listeners out there who've been listening to us for quite a while, remember Rob last joined us last July when Celebration happened in London, and we're doing it again. I guess it's a 2-year running tradition now at Tumbling Saber where we all get together and we bitch and moan about all the people that got to go instead of us. So we'll do that. We're not going to break down any of the news, as ads just asked us to. And he asked, what the hell just happened? Well, we don't know because we didn't pay attention. We're just going to complain about the people that did go.
Those crazy kids and their music.
All right, kid, of course. We are going to talk about as much as we possibly can, shoehorn into a couple hours here. But first, let's get everybody all caught up. It's been a while since all of us have been on the line together. Rob, how you doing, man? It's been way too long.
I'm doing really well, thanks, mate. Obviously, I've been kept myself very busy with Talk Star Wars and other projects, and other than that, everything is golden. My life's really good, and this just makes days like this just make it better.
Weekends like this, right?
Oh yeah, this is a long weekend as well, so that's quite nice. Over in the UK, it's 4 days, Friday and Monday off.
Oh,
wonderful! I could so get used to this. I really could, but I know I can't.
No, wouldn't it be nice if our political leaders ran with that on their platform, like 4-day weekends, even 3-day weekends?
3-day would be nice. 3-day would be a start, and then we could go from there, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Eventually, work to the inverse of what we have.
Absolutely. I mean, I know what I'm like. I'd be climbing the walls after the second day of the weekend, knowing that there's 2 more to come. But every now and then, it's nice.
Okay, so Corey, how you doing over there in where? I don't even know where you live anymore.
I'm on the country, man.
I believe Canada is still.
Yeah. It's awesome though. I'm doing the 4-day weekend like Bobby over there, and I'm loving it. Yeah.
You say you're doing a 4-day weekend, Corey. You make it sound like it's not something that everybody else is doing. Have you just decided not to go to work?
Well, most people out here, they only get to 1 day. I think it was the Friday.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'm back at the office tomorrow.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize this was the case. I thought it was a Commonwealth thing, the geographical one rather than the Star Wars one.
No, unfortunately, the powers that be in a lot of companies here. We only have to give 1 day off. Give them 1 day off. That's it.
We'll push for it. Maybe we can become like Commonwealth Day, and it will be Star Wars Commonwealth Day.
There should be a Star Wars Day that everybody gets the day off.
That should boost our listenership. We'd be heroes.
Yes, sign the petition. Start it up. But getting back on Star Wars for a second, guys. My word. What a week, man, for this. Like I was telling someone on Twitter before that this isn't really like a podcast for me more than it is a therapy session at this point. My wife was like, get a grip on reality this weekend. Like, what is wrong with you? I was like, you don't understand. You just don't get it.
Yeah.
Well, and that's it. Like, it's for so many people, they don't understand. I had my in-laws in town for the weekend, and my guest room in the basement is where they sleep, and I've sort of converted that into. Well, I also record in here now, and thankfully they've just left a couple hours ago.
But I've got these nice recording spaces, man.
Yeah, thank goodness.
It's not fair. I'm set in the corner of my kitchen table.
Well, I thought I was going to be besieged by 6-year-old girls. Like we still could be. We still could be.
I don't have that. Yeah, I don't have that risk. There's a lot of doors between the front door and our flat, so it's fine.
I've barricaded myself in this room as well as I possibly could. And
Attaboy.
So anyway, this room has got a bunch of Star Wars paraphernalia in it. But every time my in-laws come, I have to kind of like put it away because I just don't want the comments. Like, again, it's you don't understand. It's like, wait, I'm sure you've gotten it, Rob. I know me and Corey have gotten it.
Mm.
Why? This is stuff for kids. Like, grow up.
Oh yeah, of course. But they're allowed to be wrong. That's okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
you have the right to be wrong.
They just
that's
don't
the wonderful
get
thing
it.
about opinions.
So we touched on it briefly before starting the podcast here, but how do you think our friends over in Orlando are doing right now? And we have to be fair. We have to split this. We have Mark and Rob Cast, who are the elder statesmen of the Commonwealth, and then you have Ben and Ash and Cody and Mopar.
Yep.
And well, of course, Pale Rider's there too. And I'm not quite. I think he's a millennial as well. So we got.
I believe so.
We've got the kid contingent. So they're invulnerable, invincible, bulletproof.
Yep.
So we're not going to worry about them. But how do you think Mark and Rob are doing right about now? Because we'll lift the curtain here for the listeners. It's about almost 3 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. So Star Wars Celebration is winding down, and I assume that our friends over there are also winding down.
I would hope so for their sake. I think they're, I'd be very surprised if they're not flagging right now. I would be, and I'm, up to a decade younger than some of them, so
No, just the traveling.
I still would be flagging. Yeah, absolutely, and I'm also a really frail man, so there's that.
But yeah, just the walking, and granted, I don't know what panels they've really taken part in and whatnot. The lineups and stuff, like we had discussed it last week. That's the real killer, right? Is the lineups and the bathrooms and whatnot. Like that kind of stuff. It's not the fun part. But I think Mark and Rob, in the least, they're smart guys, and I think they figured it out to the point where they were getting enough rest, getting some good eats, and getting to see the stuff they wanted to see. And even if they had to live stream stuff from on site, I mean, great. Who cares? You didn't stay out all night. Like you got to see it in the comfort of your of the convention center or from your hotel room or something.
Well, that stuff's killer. I mean, I was talking about this leading up to this show, that waiting in line for hours and hours and hours, and I think Mark expressed some bitterness. I've been trying to keep up with all the stuff. Mark is crazy, man. I don't know how he produces the way he does, but
he has the energy. He has the body of a man in his 40s and the energy and enthusiasm of a man in his teens.
It's insane.
It is nothing short of incredible. I struggle to keep up, and like I said, there are some years between us. I can't remember exactly how many, but there are some years between us, and yet I still find myself just struggling to keep up. And I do, I'm no slouch, but at the same time, I still feel like I'm not doing anywhere near enough compared to him. He always sets the bar quite high for me.
Amen.
Yeah.
Mark has been kind of a muse or inspiration for me to try and crank out more. And I'm at this breaking point where people who know me, they know I have from 9 p.m. at night till however long I want to stay up and burn my sleep. Or if I can slip in a little bit here and there at work, which I shouldn't be doing. I mean, in the end, it's stealing. That's the time I get to me. But I'm trying to produce more, and I'm trying to crank out more content and be more creative. It's tough, and yet Mark is he's amazing. I don't know.
I think he's he's very smart with this stuff. I think that's what it is. I'm the first to say, for me personally, I'm not the smartest organizer of my time. Mm-hmm. I do my best, but I think I could probably, with his help, I could probably rearrange everything to make it a lot easier on myself, and thus free myself up to do more. I think that's what it is. He's found a way to, organize himself in a way that maximizes the available time.
It's workflow. That's really what it is.
Yeah, I think so.
But anyway, I guess we should probably fix our workflow here, and
thrilling for the listeners
to go
as
check
this
out.
is.
Yeah, I've been trying to keep up with Kessel runs and everything he's been doing. But
I barely even keep up. It's incredible just to try and get the basics of what he's up to. He's prolific.
Prolific is the word. That's absolutely the word. But anyway, I would suggest. I mean, most people, we have a lot of crossover listenership, but
Sure.
if we don't, I would definitely encourage anybody who's listening to that hasn't taken in TSW yet to go check it out and get some live, I guess plausibly live at this point, scoop from Orlando. And with that, we'll start with an announcement that was dropped at a very strange time. It was, for me, it was Wednesday it was pretty much midnight, and I'm just about ready to pack it in, and then I see this thing crossing my Twitter feed about Star Wars Forces of Destiny.
Yes.
And what is this all about? Celebration doesn't officially start till tomorrow. Why the hell is this dropping now? Glad it did drop, because I love this idea. So what it is just 3-minute shorts, 8 of them airing on YouTube in July, and then 8 more in a Disney XD special later in the fall, featuring all the primary female heroines from Star Wars. So Ahsoka and Rey, Padme, Jin, Hera, Princess Leia, of course, Sabine, and it puts them in this little 2D animated world in these little shorts. And so, Rob, I'll start with you as the guest of honor here. What did you think about this?
I think it's cool. I saw some of the doll designs and they look pretty cool. I have a question for you guys, but I guess we'll probably get thoughts on the overall announcement first, and then I'll pose my question to you after that. But overall, I was quite, I was quite impressed and quite positive about the announcement and what it looks like.
Corey, what were your thoughts?
I was kind of confused. It's one of the things I wanted to ask you. So we are 100% confirmed, because the article I'd read that they didn't mention anything of it solely being based on female characters, which I kind of assumed by watching the short clip that they had.
That's a fair assumption based on the clip, yeah.
All right, so anyway, I'm super stoked that they have all the main actresses coming back to do these awesome stories. Like, give it to me all day long. I'm totally stoked to hear more about these people. The animation style,
it's not for you. It's not aimed at you.
No, I get that, and I hope the storylines in the least are. Like, I hope the storylines, could tell a tale that both children obviously can enjoy and us as well.
Well, I mean, we've gone this far in Star Wars, and that hasn't been a problem yet.
No, but they've never again really done anything like this. Like the Clone Wars, these 3-minute episodes of the Clone Wars that came out, they were pretty heavy still, I just want some good storytelling to be done within these stories that the generations of fandom can enjoy, because those are characters that we all love.
Yeah, absolutely. I have no fear of that. I mean, Dave Filoni's in charge of this, and I almost want to give Dave Filoni a carte blanche as far as faith in the project that he's working on. I'm totally in. I mean, I know that this is not aimed at me. I know this is aimed more at my daughter than it is at me. But for us, I mean, I'll probably treat this the same way as I treat these new canon novels, some of them anyway, where I'm more interested in the takeaways than in the actual story. I want it all boiled down, distilled into what do I need to take away from this character or this little tiny 3-minute story. How does this apply to canon? That's probably how I'm going to treat this.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like from a children's story, if it's just going to be like this, like short tale of whatever. But I want what you're saying. I want it to be relevant to canon.
It is. They are canon.
Well, I know that it's going to be canon, but I want it to be relevant to the overall story arc whatever the story arc these characters are participating within the saga.
Rob, I don't know if you'll agree, but I see these more as like plugging holes or just filling in little character backstory.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think it depends on when they set the actual short, doesn't it? Because if it runs right up to the like let's take Rey as an example. If it runs right up to the beginning of Force Awakens, then it's fine. Depending on how they tell that story, it's probably not going to add a huge amount. I don't think that's going to be what we're going to take away from these things. They're not going to add a huge amount of story exposition. They're going to be purely kind of little. I mean, 3 minutes isn't a long time to tell some particularly complicated stories. It's very much something short and self-contained.
It'll be like reading a comic strip.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be, one and done, kind of very short, snappy storytelling.
Well, they had beyond the news of Forces of Destiny, they had a heroines panel. I think that was on. I can't remember which day it was, and that'll be the slogan of the show. I don't know when this happened. So Amy Ratcliffe hosted a panel. Which,
I think I saw a picture of that. Yeah,
it was a cool little panel. Dave Filoni was there, Ashley Eckstein was there, Tia Sircar, and Daisy Ridley, and they aired. So one of the bonuses, if anybody was in that panel, got to see the first one, or got to see one of them anyway. And it was the one of the Ray ones. And so I believe that there was a story on EW by Anthony Bresnikan. You guys may have heard of him.
I'm familiar with him. Yeah.
So they unveiled some of the plots of these shorts, and one of them is simply when Rey is bringing BB-8 back to Nema Terminal to, I guess, trade him in or move on with her life. She's attacked by Tito.
Right.
And
okay.
That's the story. That's the story. It's a 3-minute short about dealing with another bully. So we're not going to get anything earth-shattering, I don't think, from most of these, especially with Rey. They're not going to tell us anything important about her. No. But yeah, I mean, I don't think we're going to get anything mind-blowing. But anyway, I'm stoked for this. I'm stoked for the dolls. I mean, I showed my daughter the dolls that were coming, and her eyes just turned into little dinner plates. Like she wants
your
these
wallet
things
just
bad.
started going, no!
And I'm looking at these dolls going, I want them. I'll fight you for these, kid.
Wow, okay. Wow, this escalated quickly.
Listen, if it's going to come down to putting down a couple shekels between me and my daughter, it's tight. It's tight. She's tough. She takes after the Rey and Ahsokas of this world. Anyway, so I think this is a cool idea. I'm excited to see it. And Dave Filoni described it as the short form story as a good experimentation ground. So I wonder if he's couching something in that comment, saying that if this works out, we can do more 2D, or we can go deeper with these characters in this format.
Yeah. So this leads nicely into my question. So obviously these feel to me at least like a similar kind of demographic targeting are you familiar with the DC Superhero Girls cartoon?
Absolutely, I am.
Yeah,
I think so. Corey bought my daughter the whole set.
Oh, Corey, you legend.
Yeah.
So I get the feeling this is kind of aimed at the same crowd, right? It seems like a reasonable thing to surmise.
I would say so.
Do you guys think there will be something equivalent for small boys announced? Maybe, and is that maybe what Filoni is kind of alluding to when he says there's kind of experimentation being done?
Maybe not in the same exact way, but I look at something like, maybe you're not familiar with them, but the little Marvel Galactic Heroes. They're like these little tiny, 1.5 inch tall figures, and they did a show with them.
Right.
And that could be something they explore and aim that at little boys. Or they could simply say, boys have the Freemaker Adventures. And if we want to split it down gender lines, they could say Freemaker Adventures.
But then that seems to me like, I've never, I don't think of Star Wars as being, I don't now, nor have I ever really thought of Star Wars as being exclusively for boys. So for them to say, oh, well, you get the Freemaker Adventures, that wasn't something that wasn't being marketed as a boys only thing before that point. So
no,
it seems
you're
like
right.
a cop out.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to reach, but
yeah.
I would say no. I wouldn't think that we would get something aimed exclusively at little boys.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. I'd like to think that they would kind of maybe use, if this format again works, then maybe they'd use that format to expand on different characters, both male and female.
That's fine. I think that would be a perfectly acceptable kind of result. I was just kind of curious, really.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like Han, Chewie, Luke, they're going to be in this show. So it's not like it's going to be an exclusively female cast. So I don't think boys are going to feel alienated.
No, possibly not. I mean, it's kind of early days yet, so we don't really know. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to look at it from the point of view of, I'm very much of the opinion that little boys need heroes too, and I don't think that's a controversial opinion. So for me to see something like that without knowing too much about it, obviously subject to it being expanded upon, and then we learn that like you said, there's characters that are familiar to both boys and girls coming in the show, and then thus it's a bit more inclusive that way. I'm just, when I see something like this, I kind of think, well, it's good to have both. You know what I mean? It's good to have something that either ticks both boxes or two different things that can both be there for whoever wants them, and that's fine.
Yeah. No, I know where you're coming from.
It's a tough one to phrase, but yeah. Because, like I say, if you phrase it wrong, because I've seen this happen already, if you phrase it wrong, you get called bitter, you get called,
everything.
all sorts of
Chauvinist.
horrendous things by people. Yeah, exactly. You get called all sorts of horrendous things by people who should know better, quite frankly. So I had to be careful how I phrase it, but hopefully everybody understands where I'm coming from.
Yeah, no, you're right. You kind of, yeah. It's a touchy subject. It's one of these hot button issues in our culture now. So yeah, you gotta be careful how you phrase it and make sure that you're providing all the context, because one little snippet that escapes and you're toast. And it is indeed so hard to recover from that brand once you get slapped with it.
Absolutely. I mean, we're seeing that. Without going into too much detail, we are seeing that happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's steer away from this. I think we have a ton of stuff to talk about, so we'll move along to the official kickoff of the Star Wars Celebration Party, and that is the 40th anniversary panel. And I was at work when this started, and I think, Rob, this probably would have happened at dinner time for you. So that's an equally inconvenient time.
No, I think it started just late part of the sort of mid-afternoon.
Yeah,
it's
probably like 4 p.m.
Yeah, 4:30.
Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah, it was like the last hour of work, and then I have to rely on crappy internet commuting broadband speed on my mobile, which is already playing up at the moment anyway. So I had to deal with that. So I kept getting dodgy video streams, although I hear that I wasn't the only one.
Oh no, it was bad.
No, yeah, I heard it was pretty atrocious. But yeah, I had to deal with that, combined with having the signal kind of patch in and out depending on the whims of my service providers.
Well, I feel jealous.
How so?
At least that's an option for you. I mean,
service providers.
Yeah, I don't know what your data plan is like, or how many gigs a month you're permitted. But here,
I get 5.
Whew, I'm on 1.
Oh, is that? Oh man!
And it's almost $70 a month, and that's from a second-rate provider.
Yeah, I have friends who've got like 20, and although I use a lot, I find myself thinking, how the hell do you even conceive of using 20? You must just be streaming all day and never using Wi-Fi, because that's where I save the most data, by just jumping into the nearest Wi-Fi network.
That's exactly what I do.
Yeah, sensible. It's sensible,
Yeah, make other people pay for it. That's how billionaires are born.
It doesn't cost them any more money to provide it for me plus everybody else that they're already providing it for. So just have at it. Let's go.
Yeah, like I'm hooked into my neighbor's Wi-Fi right now for this podcast.
Oh, I've got my own. So
I kid, of course. All right.
Yeah.
So Kathleen Kennedy was sort of the host for this panel, and she kicked it off by saying that this whole hour and a half long panel was going to be a treat for those who were around in 77. And I wonder how many people in the crowd toughed it out for that long overnight wait to actually be there in the morning and awake and alert. I would say not too many were around in 77, but we got treated to this thrilling, nostalgic montage from movie theaters and toy stores. It was. I mean, it's still technically before my time, not too much, but it still brought back a lot of great visuals and memories.
Mm-hmm.
Anything jump out at you, Corey?
Sure.
From the 40th panel?
Did you even watch it?
Of course, yeah. I didn't get to watch it live. I was on the road. I kind of caught it a bit while my buddy was driving there, but I made sure to catch the whole thing at night. That's what I was doing. I was kind of just getting a bit of notes over the course of the day, and then getting a chance to really absorb them all and watch them at night. I loved it. It was such a beautiful thing to see all these legacy characters on stage together, because frankly, I think it's probably going to be the last time we ever get a chance to see that, sadly. If you really think about it, I don't know if that'll ever happen again. So I was thinking of that when I was watching it, and how cool it was for them. And yeah, just the whole panel was really, really, really well done. There was a lot of cool things said. And I think the one thing another thing on that same line that jumped out to me was, this saga has spanned actors' entire careers and lifespans, in a sense, and that's really rare.
It's unprecedented.
It's unprecedented, yeah. So, I mean, it just says a lot, just that,
Yeah, I mean, it was really hard to. I mean, it wasn't hard to watch the panel. I don't want to say it was, I got all choked up, but like you alluded to, Corey, this whole thing with bringing back all the old faces and celebrating the 40th. I've been harping on, well, you know what, all this stuff, like, I'll wait for the 50th, which is, it's 10 years away, and 10 years are going to come really fast. But what makes the 40th so special is that, like you said, Corey, we don't know who's going to be around for the 40th.
Yeah, it's true. It sounds sad to say, but it's a reality you have to consider, especially in recent
Especially,
kind of months.
I mean, the last year's been tough, right? We lost, especially Carrie Fisher, Kenny Baker.
Yep.
And I feel like an unending stream of sort of background players. Like
there are a couple who do not look well.
Yeah,
I don't mean to sound kind of all dark and morbid, but man, there are some people even on the 40th anniversary panel who did not look well.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are pushing mid-70s, 80 years old.
Yep.
There's only so much juice in the lemon, and travel is not easy once you get to that age.
Sure.
But anyway, so I was part of it for me was I was not surprised by much of this panel. There was a lot of discussion going around. Would George Lucas be a part of this? Is he going to come back to the family? And I said, there's no way they do this. You cannot celebrate the 40th without George. He's absolutely...
Absolutely.
There's no doubt he's going to be there.
Yeah.
And so she was the first person he introduced, and man, was it nice to see him on stage.
Yeah, very much so. He seemed a little bit kind of... I don't know how to explain it. He seemed a little bit like really annoyed to be there at first, but he really kind of warmed up over the course of the panel. If you go back and watch the initial 10 minutes, he looks really unhappy for no apparent reason whatsoever. But he kind of warms and starts laughing and joking and stuff like that as it goes along. But I don't know. It seemed a little bit stilted at first, like very, very early on.
Yeah, I think socially he's wound up pretty tight. He's just an awkward man when it comes to social situations. That's just the way he is.
It was nice though. I have to agree with you guys. Having seen him as a part of this and hearing his voice again, I don't know. It felt so right, so good.
Yeah. Another thing as well, actually, just as a kind of side note to it, but still related, is what's really nice as well is to see the Star Wars fans greeting George Lucas with enthusiasm, because in recent years he's been kind of unfairly thrown under the bus at times for things that aren't really, well, not so much not his fault, but they're not, things that have maybe been a little overblown in terms of reactions to stuff like the prequels. I feel like the reactions to those have been historically very very overblown. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, I mean, people with their headcanon, right? They get married to it, and no, Star Wars, it must be this, that, and the other. You can't deviate. Yeah. And George Lucas deviated. Again,
and they were like, "You what, mate?"
Right, exactly. Something I've been harping on is, Star Wars fans saying they want something new, let's go off in a new direction. But when you got that in the prequels, you went nuts.
Yeah, whereas when they did a kind of safe reboot with lots of elements and, lots of elements of A New Hope, not that's a bad thing, in The Force Awakens, everybody was like, "Oh, I love this. It plays like I remember." It's like, yeah, no shit. It is very similar to the movie you remember, so that's good, And that's not to hate on Force Awakens. I like it, but there are some subtle and some not so subtle allusions to the original movie, and that's what people really want, is a shinier version of something they're familiar with. I've said this for years.
Yeah. Totally agree with that.
Y'all laughed at me. Y'all laughed at me.
No, that's absolutely right. And I feel I've said this on the show before, and Corey and James, I think, agreed. Rob, I'm sure you will too. But
Probably.
there's been, I think, a little bit of a shift in terms of the hatred towards the prequels, and it seems to be softening a bit. And I attribute that
100%. Yep.
Like they've been, I don't know if I can say they've been aging well, but what I do believe it is that a lot of the fans who were children when they came out are now in their early 20s, mid 20s, whatnot, and they're popping online and they're firing up their blogs and podcasts, and they're not afraid to stand up and say, go to hell with your criticism of these prequels. I love them. They're great for me.
Sure.
And you can take your criticisms, your old stuffy original trilogy worship, turn it sideways and stuff it where the sun don't shine.
Yeah. Yeah. There's also, I think, an element of like the hipsterdom as well, because some people that really want to be seen to be contrarian for the sake of it. So like when the overwhelming societal opinion at one point is the prequels are rubbish, like say people are allowed to be wrong. You end up with people who are just contrarian for the sake of contrarian, going, "No, I think they're great," and they go into probably budget film school interpretations of why that's true, and some of them hold water, some of them probably don't. But over time, those people get replaced with the genuine fans, and then there's a bigger group who's speaking out in favor of them. I think there's an element of that to it.
It's the cream rising. That's what that is.
Yeah, but also, I mean, to put it another way, hipsters ruining everything as well, which is something I've been kind of sharp on for a while.
You know what I saw once? Speaking of hipsters,
yeah,
a Bluetooth typewriter.
That's so bad.
Like,
I was just gonna straight up react with an F-bomb there. That was like,
come on, guys.
That's so close, so close. I kept my composure, but man, that was close.
Do you have to ruin everything? A Bluetooth typewriter. It's called a keyboard.
Yeah, exactly. Not for nothing.
Just.
I've gotten a similar annoyance. I've talked about it on one of my podcasts, not Talk Star Wars, but just in case you're interested, I'm just going to I need to look something up quickly while I'm doing this. So there's a cafe in London near where I work, which sells crisps. So in America, and obviously in the States and Canada, they're called chips. And they're a restaurant that vends these items. And the most expensive meal on the menu, bearing in mind this is just chips and dips, is $20 Canadian.
Jeez.
And I just feel like going in there and yelling at the top of my lungs. And I'll stop there because that's an After Dark side. But you can probably guess.
I can absolutely
it begins with an F
guess.
It begins with an F and ends with an Q. So, so yeah, that's a temptation of mine that I feel very good about myself that I've walked past there most days in a week and don't do that. I feel like that's tremendous control on my part.
It is. You have to wait. You have to.
Nobody.
It is unfortunate though that you have to wait till you're desensitized.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, like it's not fair. It's not fair on me, really. But I'll take it because life's probably unfair on them in other ways. I mean, they have to live as them. They have to be them, and I get to be me. And what more could you ask for?
Life of a Star Wars podcaster, man. Nothing better.
That's it. The hardest working man nobody's ever heard of.
Yeah.
So George Lucas made a comment that ruffled. I don't want to say ruffled feathers, but it's something that we've been playing ping pong with as a fandom for a long time.
Oh.
The idea that Star Wars is made for 12-year-olds or children. That's exactly what came out of Lucas's mouth. And now as adults, we're trying to rebuff that. No. Star Wars is for everybody and it's not made for kids. Well, the man himself told you it's made for kids.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I think that's fine.
It is fine. It's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with kids.
There's nothing wrong with enjoying something that's not specifically aimed at you. We've just been talking about how, if boys like Forces of Destiny, great. Like it's exactly that kind of attitude. It's not, even if it's not directly aimed at you, if you can enjoy it, all the better, more power to you. And not for nothing as well, but to quote the great comedian, the late great Mitch Hedberg, any book is a children's book if the kid can read. And the reverse applies too. Anything made for kids is made for adults as well if the adults can understand it just fine.
Yeah, I think another thing to take into consideration as well is that the times, they haven't changed since 1977, my friend. Like like it's not the same. Politics aren't the same. Like kids don't watch the same kind of things. So when he created it back in 1977, like yes, I mean it had a different feel to it. Like yes, kids could enjoy it, but adults obviously enjoyed it as well.
Sure.
Yeah, no question. But again, it's something that we've been hammering as a fandom over. Is this made for me? Does it matter? It doesn't really matter.
Who cares? Yeah, seriously. It's not, there's tons of stuff that's not officially for me, but I enjoy it.
Yeah, and some of the creators have come out and said, we don't think of it as a kid's show. We think of it as something more. Just shut up. Just stop.
Seriously. You put it on you put Rebels on Disney XD. The jig is up, okay? Just accept it and move on. It's fine. Nobody cares.
Yeah, it's not on CNN. It's on Disney XD.
Oh man, I wouldn't watch it. I'll go that far. If it was on CNN, I wouldn't watch it because it would be so vastly different. But
exactly. So anyway, moving on. Dave Filoni was there, and this is where my mind started going with Dave Filoni and saying, this guy is everywhere now in terms of Star Wars. Like this guy is almost the next George Lucas in a manner of speaking. And what are we going to say about this guy 30, 40 years from now? Are we going to treat him in the way that we treat Lucas at this point?
I think the backlash will begin on him in a couple of years if the same timelines are anything to go by. Oh man, he's everywhere. Can we just get something without Dave Filoni involved? Well, no. He's quite important and people like him, so learn to deal. Yeah,
he's kind of the one weaving the web, right?
Yeah, for sure. He's certainly within the animated space, he's the man. He is the guy who's coming up with all that stuff and making it all thread together. And I'm sure he's a significant presence in the story group in general.
Of course. He's a man with a plan, that's for sure. And if anything's to be said from this guy is that he just gets Star Wars.
For sure. I mean, if you spend enough time with George Lucas as your mentor, then you pick up a few things, I think.
Yeah, indeed.
I mean, this is a guy that has been at Lucas's side for years and years and years. I mean, this guy is steeped in Lucas. And Lucas said that he had to purge Filoni of numerous bad ideas.
Oh, Filoni, because my ears were burning.
Hey,
hey,
what's up, guys?
It's going good, man.
House.
We're talking about what are we going to say about this guy 30, 40 years from now? Are we going to treat him in a similar way to what we think of Lucas now?
If he keeps going the way he's going, yeah, probably.
Because he keeps.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, he keeps getting more and more responsibility, and I don't know if he ever makes the transition to live action. He seems to always been an animated guy, but boy, oh boy, it's hard to imagine that this guy is just not going to be part of the Star Wars DNA at some point, if he's not there already.
Yeah, I have to agree with that, and I mean everybody. Most are liking what he's doing. So, I mean, that's a good way to keep yourself employed.
Job security, man.
I'll take your word for it.
Then we got some video greetings from Liam Neeson, Ian McDiarmid, and
Sam Jackson.
Ian McDiarmid was there.
Excuse me. Yeah, he was there.
Yeah, he was great.
Oh, he's great.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
he's got a voice like velvet.
Yeah,
I love it.
I think he knows it too because my buddy Hayden barely said a word.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, well, he was welcomed, Hayden Christensen, very warmly by the fans there, but almost like a bit like
star.
Lucas. I feel like he's a bit standoffish still.
Yeah, those scars probably don't heal just from some of the crap that people said about him during the years of kind of 99 to 2005. Oh no, 2001 to 2005, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, he got savaged, and up until a couple of years ago, he still got savaged a lot for things that weren't his fault.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I think most people, there's a sizable majority who are reasonable enough to say he didn't write the dialogue. And if it's a little stilted, it's not just because of his performance, but there's a loud minority who probably didn't give him that. They probably didn't give him that concession.
And from the looks of it too, from what we had heard in the panel about Mark and Carrie and all them, like it seemed like George kind of just said, "Yeah, okay, just like do your thing," like in regards to the acting. So it doesn't seem like Hayden probably got all that much direction as to what was expected from him, or maybe what direction he did receive was kind of just didn't go over too well, didn't work.
Well, Lucas has never been really known as an actor's director. Like, he knows what he wants in his head, but he just has difficulty in squeezing it out of the actor. That's kind of my interpretation of the whole thing. And like he throws you out there and says, just do this and do it that way. And when he feels like it's there, good enough, in the can. And he moves.
Yeah.
He's always got budgets in mind, right? And even though he's got like an endless well of money, he still tries to stick to the game plan as much as possible. So if this is as much film as they've allotted, well, we're going to use what we've got.
Yeah.
Sam Jackson banging the drum for Mace Windu's return.
Oh, his was really funny.
Yeah,
I like that one a lot.
There's no Mace Windu coming back, right? I mean, unless they reprise something way back. He's not returning to the current timeline. That's, I think we could say for sure.
No, I think he knows that as well. I think he's having a bit of fun there. I don't think he's expecting them to greenlight a Mace Windu appearance in Last Jedi. I think he's very much kind of, if he's angling for something, it's an old, like a prequel or somewhere in among the prequel era film. I don't think it's anything later than that. I think he knows.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that.
Just doesn't belong. Anthony Daniels, Peter Mayhew, and Billy D. Williams.
Yeah, speaking of people who didn't look well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, two of those men have been in ailing health for a few years now.
Which two? I mean, I know Peter Mayhew's health is no secret. But are we talking Billy D?
Yeah, well, not that he's at death's door, obviously not, but he's sort of gone up and down in terms of, even when you're just not feeling well at that age, it can, the end could be nigh.
He looked kind of grateful to be there, but not exactly jazzed. There were other people there who were clearly happier to be there than he was. But I don't necessarily take that as a knock. He did look kind of
tired.
That's the best way of putting it. Yeah, he looked like it had been a long old week already, and it was Wednesday.
I will say that I'm not shocked by that.
No, I mean, he's not a young man. Bless him.
Well, Corey and James have heard me kind of rail about it, but meeting him last summer briefly in Montreal.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's exactly as I remembered. He just, here I am, and
hello,
here I go.
What have we here?
Yeah. Well.
And then, of course, the man, Mark Hamill, comes along and steals the spotlight. Thank God for this man.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, he's a treasure.
He's just so incredible with the fans. It's unbelievable. I mean, I think this weekend 4 people really turned the crank for the Star Wars celebration. Mark Hamill would be one. Dave Filoni's another, just by the sheer amount of prep and appearances that he's done. Warwick Davis for the amount of hosting he did.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I like him as a host. There was a couple of moments, especially in the early part, where he was kind of he was a little bit excited and talked over George a few times, and I thought, George is having enough trouble opening up here. This is not going to help. But he relaxed a bit once other people started to join the stage. He backed right off and was a really, really good host at that point. Yeah,
he settled into the role, and it's been his role for a while now, right?
Sure, but if he's got big gaps between doing it, obviously last time would have been July, so he's had 9 months or so of not doing it. So it's probably a difficult one to get back into the swing of.
Absolutely. And of course, Mark Hamill comes and sweethearts the crowd, which was a sight to see. But then I guess the big one, right?
Yeah.
This is one I wasn't sure, but he came. Harrison Ford showed up.
I wasn't sure. Everybody was saying it was a lock because he turned up at. There was a tweet, wasn't there, that he turned up at Orlando Airport.
Yeah.
But there's, he's a very rich man. There's any number of reasons why that could have been. So I wasn't kind of I wasn't seeing anything as a sure thing until there was a moment just before he was announced where I thought there was some wording they used, and I went, okay, he is here. because here he comes now. And sure enough, there he was. I don't remember what it was, the exact wording of it that made me think.
Well, I think Warwick said
Harrison.
something to the effect of, I've got Billy D. Williams and Peter Mayhew and Anthony Daniels and Mark Hamill here. There's 4 of you here, and that's pretty epic, but maybe it can get a little bit more epic. And
that's right, yeah. He said something to the effect of, like, it doesn't get much better than this, does it? Except it does. And I was like, yeah, okay, he's here.
And just people went nuts, understandably
For sure, yeah. He's a man. Harrison Ford's a man who, in the last few years, seems to have, talking about people who are kind of, getting on in years and they're they seem a little tired and a little bit beaten down by it all. Harrison Ford seems to have had the opposite happen to him in the last 5 years. He seems to have woken right up.
He looked amazing. I have to say,
yeah.
Every photo I saw him in, I was like, God, like, it's
he's
incredible.
He's a beautiful man.
Suddenly.
I mean, let's call a spade here.
Yeah. Well, this is true. I mean, I can't really deny this.
Good Lord.
Yeah, I have to jump on board finally and agree with something you guys are saying here, because he looks younger than he did last year.
Yeah, he seems to have really just kind of grown back into enthusiasm he's enthusiastic again about doing press stuff, and there was a point, I'm trying to remember how, I'll tell you what it was. It was the AFI tribute to George Lucas where Carrie Fisher did that epic speech. And Harrison Ford did the speech, and I remember at the time thinking, hey, man, he seems kind of a little out of it and a little bit kind of run down. This is a bit sad, and obviously Indiana Jones 4. But there's, in the last couple of years, he seems to have perked right up again, and he seems to be happy doing what he's doing. And I don't know if that's work related or it's sort of health related or it's personal life related, but I'm all for it either way.
Well, maybe some of it is related to the enormous truckload of money that he pulled in from The Force Awakens that has somehow reinvigorated
that probably
his interest.
Helps. Yeah, I could imagine that would do a lot for me too.
I'm going to go ahead and disagree. I've made truckloads of money and it really didn't do much for me.
Oh, well. All right, mate. Fair enough.
The curling money's finally come in, James?
Yeah, curling, putting lessons. I teach kids how to color on the side.
Pipe whittling.
Oh, okay. Check you out.
Truckloads.
Man, but anyway, reports went from 25 million to 50 million that he pulled in for The Force Awakens. Now, whichever number or any one in between, that's reason enough to be real happy about the people that put that money in your pocket.
Sure, absolutely.
But it is nice to see.
This is the first, he gets to do sessions now where his character's dead. I wonder if it feels different. Like if he's got a new interest just because it's sort of, it's new.
That's true too. Maybe. That's true too. It's a whole new perspective to him. Maybe he's happy to have that Han Solo monkey off his back.
Yeah.
Well, one wonders, is this the end, right? Are we going to see him again involved with Star Wars at a celebration?
Maybe not.
A celebration, maybe 50th, maybe if he's still if he's still in good spirits and stuff like that, and his health is up to it. Then I don't see why he couldn't turn up at the 50th.
That would be epic. I would have to agree.
Yeah,
and I would imagine he's probably got the same thought, right? Like, let me go and enjoy this one more time, and in 10 years from now, I guess I'll reevaluate. But
yeah.
And then George Lucas had a little bit on Carrie Fisher with Kathleen Kennedy at his side, which was really touching. There's a lot of that over the weekend, understandably so. But a coup de grace was having Billie Lourd come out. That was not expected, at least for me. She's wearing this custom gown, obviously evocative of her mom from A New Hope. Mm-hmm. And that's when the stream started really, really crapping out. At 70K viewers, that's when it started freezing. So I missed most of that. I went back and watched it in retrospect, but in the moment it was kind of ruined. Although I got the gist of it. I caught the first couple minutes of it.
Yeah.
But it was a bummer.
Tribute was great.
Did you see the tribute?
The actual tribute was brilliant.
Oh, it was so nice.
Oh, dude, I watched it at like 10 o'clock on, what was it, I guess Thursday? Was it Thursday? The day of. Yeah, it was my last day. Yeah, it was Thursday, and it was like 10 at night.
Was it Thursday? I thought it was Wednesday. My bad.
Anyhow, I was probably like 3 beers in, so nothing really that bad, but I sat there and bawled, man, like a baby. Like, wow. I was just free-flowing, like, even to the point where when John Williams was there, I was just still like...
that was a big deal. That was the closest I got to to crying was when John Williams started playing. I was like, oh man.
Like
Yeah,
I hadn't cried like that
wonderful.
in years, man. Like I really think it was like I almost feel like I felt like I said goodbye almost. Like I hadn't really fully sunk in or whatever it was, but just seeing her on stage and the music and them talking about her, I was just so overwhelmed.
Well, this is really their first opportunity to do so, where we get to see them doing it. We've seen press releases and statements and comments in the news, but really to see them on stage talking about her and being vulnerable up on stage, because any of these people could have broken down. And a couple of them, I think, were on the verge.
I think George was close.
George, yeah, I think he was absolutely close. And then we'll get to this in a second, but Mark, in his tribute, a one-man tribute to Carrie Fisher, that he came very close. But and even I was getting close. I think I was welling up at work. And then George Williams, which I think nobody expected.
John Williams?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, nobody expected George Williams because he's just some random dude.
So George, I don't know if he was. Did I say George Williams?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh God, I'm sorry. So John Williams.
Beautifully.
We love you. We love you.
Yeah, that's what I do. So I don't know if he was behind a curtain that nobody suspected had a full orchestra behind. And you could tell from the crowd, by this point the stream had kicked back in,
Yeah.
and you see the orchestra there, and it seemed like the people in the crowd weren't sure what they were about to see. Like, it took them a few seconds to get, is that who I think it is? Is that
an orchestra?
there's
Yeah.
an orchestra, but
what?
who's that bald-headed man with oh my God, it's John Williams. And then people started freaking out, and probably
Oh yeah, they went nuts.
Dude, the one thing that I have to say about that point is, like you said, everyone was figuring it out slowly, and I literally heard someone scream, "Oh my God!" And then everyone, like, it was complete pandemonium, and then, he's ready to rock, and he just raised his hand and ever so gently just lowered it, and you could hear a pin drop. Like, everyone just respected the man. It was just like, okay, shut up and listen.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, like if you get John Williams just having to turn around at Celebration and go, "Shut the fuck up!"
we're getting a John Williams concert, you asshole! Shut up!
Yeah, if he's turning around, they're like, "For the love of Christ!"
No, it's just so cool to see the noise level go from like so high to just instantly like dead.
Yeah, it's nice.
Well, because everybody's
It's like
sobbing.
you said, it's deference and respect, isn't it? It's just it's nice to see, like you were saying. It's just people who just so admire this man. One of the equals, I think George called him like an unsung hero or something to that effect, and it's so true.
It is absolutely true.
Yeah,
I mean, his music is as embedded in Star Wars as any of the visuals in my mind. So anyway, the people there and us were treated to an impromptu surprise John Williams concert, which that's a bucket list thing, but they got it. Lucky
Sure.
bastards.
I know, right?
No kidding.
That was one of those moments where there's been a few moments where something hasn't happened that they've expected, and I've been like, oh, I'm still sorry I didn't go, but not so much anymore. And then moments like that, I'm like, damn it.
Well, and if you're somebody who sat overnight and had a bad night's
Yes.
sleep and your back is hurting and your eyes are burning, and then John Williams comes out, it's all forgotten. It's
Yeah,
all
it's like, oh,
made
never
instantly
mind.
worth it.
Yeah.
So a nice segue, I think, from that is to jump to the Mark Hamill tribute to Carrie Fisher. And I don't know if all of us caught it or not, but it was as great and fitting as you'd expect it to be. Mark was really vulnerable up there. He opened right up about his experiences with Carrie and the chemistry they had together, the obvious kinship, and it was so nice. And then Warwick Davis came out and he talked about how Carrie literally took care of him on set.
Because he was a young boy, wasn't he, when
He was like 11.
Jedi happened?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like she was always there with like chocolate milk and cookies, and always checking on him because it was really hot in that suit. Like it was just so nice, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And Mark Hamill made it a point to discuss about, for him it's still not real that she's gone and that she deserved to be there and she should be there. And I think he spoke for fandom. Like, so many of us still feel that she's not gone. She just wasn't there. But the reason why she wasn't there, we haven't accepted yet.
it's certainly weird to think about the fact that she's not there. Like it still doesn't feel normal to think about it. Still too soon in that respect.
Yeah. But it was really a poignant thing. The whole, like, all the way through. Carrie Fisher sort of is one of the through lines, or maybe is the through line thread of the whole convention, which I think is fitting. Not what they had in the original plans, I would imagine, but definitely makes sense. And then I don't know if you guys caught this. It was a little snippet with Kathleen Kennedy on Good Morning America, where the interviewer said, "So, looks like Carrie Fisher is going to be in episode 9, and I don't know how you did it, but is it like uncut footage, stuff from episode 8?" And you could just see Kathleen.
She was
Kennedy
quick
going,
to shut that down, eh?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I mean, people just ran.
She's a pro.
She just ran with and we did too. About Todd Fisher and his big mouth.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You double-crossing bastard.
Double-crossing, no good swindler.
She's a total pro at this stuff, you know, and the way she handled it was, as always, just mega boss.
Yeah. Oh, I think, he just may have been confused, and like we got loads of Carrie in episode 8, and her performance is amazing. Can't wait for you to see it. But she's not in 9. Like they're still not even finished writing 9. So how can they be sure what they need?
It's when you hear her say that, you're just like, of course, that makes perfect sense. Why did nobody? I think it's just because we were all kind of curious as to how that would work. We maybe dwelled on that more than the logistics of it.
Yeah, and we were like, well, that works for me, right? And
yeah,
Carrie Fisher in a full-blown role, great. They'll tweak it a little bit digitally, I'm sure. But yeah, the backbone is Carrie. But it felt like square peg round hole. It just didn't make sense, but we ran with it. And
wishful thinking. We wanted to believe it was true. It's still, like we said, it's still very soon after all the events of sort of December. We're having. I mean, we know people are having a hard time kind of accepting that she's gone because we've just kind of discussed it. So when we hear the possibility that there's a way that she can kind of endure in some form, we jumped at the chance because we're still kind of grieving as a fandom. Absolutely.
But I mean, we're back to square one, right?
Yeah. Well, we got episode 8 to look forward to. So that's and beyond that, we're back to where we were. We don't know what's happening beyond that now. But we didn't know that, when she was still around, we didn't know what her role would be in 9. So we've not really, in that respect, we've not really lost anything.
Yeah, I mean, she was, I think, originally intended to be in 9. For how much, who knows?
Got that? Yeah, I got that impression from Colin Trevorrow.
Exactly, yeah.
Trevorrow, however you pronounce it.
I still don't know. But yeah, you're right. He gave it away that he looks forward to working with Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher. But now, obviously, one of those has been taken away. Mm. But she's going to be in 9 in some capacity. So is it going to be an early screen, off-screen death? Or are they going to recast it? They haven't touched on episode 9. And any of the statements they've made have all pertained to The Last Jedi. So to me, everything is back on the table. And they're going to have to be very careful again in how they approach it. Especially if they do the dreaded CG route. They're going to have some serious... I guess however they deliver that news will have to be seriously considered.
I still don't get how fandom is considering the CG route a more unacceptable route than a recast. Like, I've spoken to tons of people about this, and every time they say, "Oh, I'm so glad it's not CG," I'm like, "Oh, would you prefer a recast?" And they go, "Oh, no," and they've kind of not really thought about it. And so I still don't understand why it's still even remotely palatable to anybody.
All right, guys, sorry, I'm back.
That's even worse. Oh, I didn't even know you're gone. Sorry, man.
Yeah,
I feel bad now. I was just waffling on. You know me, Corey.
Where are we at here? Carrie?
Yeah, we're talking about Carrie, yeah. I was just saying, like, I don't really understand why, we're talking about how the CG is kind of being frowned upon by fandom. I feel like that's a symptom of we're still processing what's happened. I think that most people, realistically, would be happier with that than a recast.
It's definitely a delicate line to walk that Disney's having to do right now.
Oh yeah, they're not. I don't envy their position one jot. You know, it's but like I say, I'd be far happier with a Rogue One style job than a recast of the character completely. That's like, you know, even verging on the kind of the blasphemous in context.
100%. I hate it when they do that in television shows and stuff. So I can only imagine how it would make me feel in this. So are you guys talking about the Todd Fisher news right now?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. That was a really big shock to me, seeing as how, I mean, last week in the podcast we were saying that you know, she will be back in episode 9, and then Kathleen Kennedy just kind of said, "Yeah, Todd kind of made a mistake there. I don't know where he got that info from, but anyhow, it's a real shame." But the first thing that comes to my mind is, not only is this going to affect episode 8's storyline, it would have to, in my opinion, and it's definitely going to affect what they had in mind for episode 9.
Sure.
Like, she even said it straight up. We had to really go back to the drawing board in January and see what we were going to do. And I guess it's clear now that they don't have enough good footage to use to make it a meaningful performance for episode 9. So they'll just use everything they have and box it all up into number 8 and change that story a little to do the character its justice.
I still have some thoughts on how they could achieve that. Mine aren't very popular, but, you know, I have a thought on how it could be done logistically.
Go for it.
Well, my theory is, you know, there is a way to handle the sort of exit of her character from storyline with her being technically on screen but not being visibly affected, which is to be on a ship that gets destroyed during you know, there's a space battle. We know this. So, you know, they could go back and reshoot reaction shots of a ship being destroyed, destroy that ship on screen, and then it's done. You don't need to handle certain elements of it. It's a little bit crass, but at the same time, there aren't many options that aren't.
There's no good option. Like, I've always felt like an off-screen death isn't fair to the character and her legacy, but what is? I don't know. Like, to me, like, I've always maintained that the only way to do this is just flesh out the story the way you planned it, because that's the original authentic story you would plan for Leia. Go with that, and then make the best choice possible with that parameter. But I don't know. Yeah. Nothing is going to feel right.
No. This is why I was kind of liking mine, is because it's, you know, it's not an off-screen death technically. It's a bit of a loophole. Corey, I know you're fond of those.
Well, I'd have to be on the same page with you, because, I mean, up to this point, it's not like she was supposed to be in episode 9 from what we understand, so it's not like they actually even filmed a death sequence for her. So we don't even technically know if she will. Maybe she won't die, you know, but, I mean, all signs kind of point to that, but who knows what they have in store. Yeah.
There's no I kind of computed a few different options based on what they could do and what they've, you know, the bits and pieces of story we've heard as rumblings for episode 8, and there are some really heartbreaking, morbid, horrendous ways of doing it. And for me, an off-screen, in quotes, a ship being destroyed on screen with, you know, knowing that it's her that she's on board, that's almost in a way one of the kindest. It's a horrible way of doing it, but there are far, far, far worse, and I don't even want to go into them, because they just, even thinking about them makes me shudder a bit.
Yeah, I hear you. James, anything you want to add to this?
I don't disagree with what you guys are saying at all. There's no good way to do it, but, like, I mean, they killed Han Solo, and that made a bunch of people unhappy too. When you kill off a beloved character, I mean, no matter how you slice it, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to watch. So I don't, the idea of watching a ship get blown up on screen, knowing she's on it, that's not an off-screen death, is it? It sort of is, but
no, I technically think that counts. Like, say, I'm loopholing it like Corey would.
So.
Right there with you, buddy.
I could swallow that pill.
I guess you'd have to, if you make that palatable or more palatable, you have to get some really effective reaction shots.
Mm-hmm.
You got to sell it that way. You got to feel the shock through whatever characters witnessed that,
or who felt it,
or that too. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have to see it. You know, obviously with Star Wars, they don't have to feel it to. They have to see it rather to feel it.
Exactly. All right, so you guys want to talk about The Last Jedi? Sort of the...
Boy, do I.
Oh, what do you say? All right, so I mean, obviously this was the big thing we were all waiting for this weekend. And I find it a bit strange how they structured this whole weekend. Like, for me, the biggest things were done by the time I got home from work. I didn't work Friday, but, by lunchtime on Friday, the biggest and best stuff was done. I thought that it was strange, but
yeah, if there's nothing coming out of the closing ceremony, which I think at this point is, as we're recording, is kind of imminent, right?
It will be underway in the next 10 minutes or so. Yeah.
Oh, okay, even better. But yeah, I think unless there's something earth-shattering coming out of that, it's been a weird one. You know what, though? It doesn't surprise me in the sense of, like, we know there are specific windows in which to drop podcasts because, the internet is awake and asleep at certain times. And with Easter weekend being a family event, I guess they wanted to get it out there when people were tuned in. That's a good point. I hadn't even considered it from that point of view, but that makes an absolute ton of sense.
That's the most valid thing. I didn't consider that, but that makes all the sense in the world.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
So I still hope that there's some massive tidbit that gets dropped in that next hour.
You'd hope.
It's looking less and less likely.
When's Dennis Lawson?
Sorry, Rob?
Where's Dennis Lawson? Where did he turn up?
He turned up at I know he was on the Star Wars show. He was sort of sitting in the little Millennium Falcon lounge.
Oh, okay.
But I missed that. I saw it. I caught a bit of it, but not the whole thing. But I don't think he was there too much.
Okay. That's interesting. I found that weird. They all the signs pointed to him being kind of involved in one of the panels. That's the impression I got. So when the panels have all kind of been and gone, and he hasn't turned up anywhere, it seems kind of odd.
Yeah, I would have expected him on the 40th panel. Maybe I guess he's just not a big enough name.
I guess.
Although fans would have loved it.
Yeah, sure.
Fans would have said, bring everybody. Bring that guy who sat in the cantina, third booth over.
Yeah, bring Dr. Evazan. Where's Dr. Evazan? Come on.
Exactly. So the Last Jedi panel, hosted by Josh Gad, who I love this guy. I think he's hilarious. And
they did a great job.
Oh, so let's back this up for a sec. How about Rian Johnson, man? You guys all heard what he did for fans?
What a great story!
Holy moly! Talk about buying yourself some rope.
Yeah. You cynic, Kyle. But yeah, you're not wrong.
So, Corey James, I don't know if you heard, but this is good. The lineup to get into this panel started the day before. And so this guy stayed up literally all night through the entire late night hours, autographing, hanging out with fans, taking selfies, just chilling in the line. And then I guess retired in the early morning hours, maybe caught 2 or 3 hours sleep, and came back to do the panel at 11 a.m.?
To be fair, he definitely went and did 2 or 3 hours worth of cocaine. But beyond that, that's probably an accurate timeline.
Slander.
I thought that's amazing.
Hats off to him. This is one of the things where people are going to criticize you and be like, he only did that to win the fans over. Well, so what? Even if his motives were whatever, which they probably weren't. He probably just was really pumped about Celebration and wanted to be involved and saw an opportunity to make a ton of people super excited. You feed off that kind of energy.
Yeah, and I got to agree with you there. Like, he's just, he's so stoked about doing this film, and this is like a once in a lifetime opportunity for him. So yeah, why not take full advantage of that? And even at that, even if he stayed out till 3-4 in the morning, he could have got still 5 hours of sleep, 6 hours of sleep. The panel was only at 11, right? He's probably got a hotel right around the corner. He's got direct backstage access. Like, it's not like
more cocaine. He almost certainly knows a guy, right?
He knows a guy who knows a guy.
Obviously, I'm kidding. Please don't sue me.
Please don't sue any of us. We have no money.
Don't worry, Rob. He's not going to sue you, but he knows a guy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good point. All right, I better watch myself.
So they started the panel. They introduced a bunch of people. Kathleen Kennedy was there. They brought out Rian Johnson, as I mentioned, and then they brought out Daisy Ridley. And the reception she gets, no matter where she shows up, like she showed up at the Heroines panel as well. In 2 years, she gets as big an ovation as anybody not named George Lucas. It's amazing to see how quickly she has become like I guess totally irreplaceable part of Star Wars. It's amazing how quickly she's in.
She looked fabulous.
Yeah,
well,
I'm not surprised though. I mean, she's lovely. She's really, really, she seems like a very endearing person, and very easy to kind of, be enamored with, both in the obviously the obvious sense, and also just in the terms of just like being seeming like a very genuine character.
She's the central character of our saga now, so it seems.
There is that too. Yeah,
I think Hamill said that himself, didn't he?
Something
it's
along
no
those
longer,
lines.
it's no longer Luke's story. It's pretty sure he said something like that. Yeah.
And anyway, I just thought, like, wow, for this young woman in 2 short years to go from unknown to this loved, it's amazing. I'm so glad that she's a part of this whole thing. They got it right. But she said something interesting, that the relationship between Rey and Luke, it seems to be a very contentious one. In that,
okay,
she made mention of the fact that, the saying that sometimes it's better to not meet your heroes.
Oh, okay.
She played with that wording a little bit. I said, oh wow, that's
interesting.
Yeah,
she said meeting your heroes in the sense that they don't always meet the expectations you have of them.
Yeah, and that paints a pretty interesting picture of what's going to happen in the Last Jedi.
Of their dynamic. Yeah, that sounds awesome though. just that one phrase has got me kind of intrigued.
Well, it almost seems from all this that like Luke seems like we were kind of been talking about it on the pods on both sides. What's Luke been up to, right? And I think we were kind of thinking he hasn't given up. He's working on something. But from what I gather from this is he seems more broken than we had gathered. Like more of a hermit than we had gathered. More jaded than we had thought.
Possibly.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm not saying she's doing that in this particular instance, but when I'll do a quick sidebar. When we were in Barcelona, we bring the kids to the Sagrada Familia, which is an incredible church, and incredible from the outside, but probably more spectacular from the inside because of the stained glass. But we always tell the kids like, "Oh, it's amazing from the outside, but we're going to take you inside. We'll do a quick tour. It's a bit dull on the inside, and then we'll do something else." And so, to lower their expectations, it's fun to sort of do that. And having seen what Daisy Ridley has been doing with social media and stuff, if she shows up and Luke turns out to be to blow her Rey's expectations out of the water, then I wouldn't be surprised to hear Daisy Ridley in the press say, that old expression, you shouldn't meet your heroes, just to lie.
Possible, yeah. From a certain point, it also could be fall into that certain point of view thing.
For sure. Like I said, I'm not saying she's doing that for sure here, but I think they're all doing it. I think Hamill also said that he lies all the time on Twitter. Like, I think they do that just because why not fuck with people,
Yeah, for sure.
Well, something that Hamill said, and he how it's almost like something that Dave Filoni loves to do it, Mark Hamill loves to do it. It's jerking fandom's chain. So Mark Hamill comes out on stage, and people go nuts again. This is after John Boyega and Kelly Marie Tran come out. They talk a little bit. Mark Hamill's back, and he's going, "Oh, this is amazing! Look, I've got Kathleen Kennedy there, my boss, and John Boyega's here, and my coworker," and he's pointing at Daisy Ridley.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, like fans in the crowd gasp, and my wife's like, "Did he just?" I'm like, "He's just jerking our chain, or is he?"
Certainly. Oh yeah, almost certainly.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Yeah, he's too smart to let something slip. How many times has he had the opportunity to slip up in the last few years, and he hasn't lost it once.
No, he's too clever.
He's too good.
And then Kathleen Kennedy and Mark Hamill sort of pumping Rian Johnson's tires, and Kennedy reiterating how vitally important Luke is to The Last Jedi, which is music to my ears. I want this. Sure. I want this movie to just be stuffed to the rafters with Luke. And then they gave us the teaser poster, which is now the lock screen on my phone.
It's amazing.
It's so nice.
Really, nice. Really is.
Really nice.
This is the best poster. I like it more than the helmet poster. Like, I haven't seen a poster that I've liked like this instantly since the original trilogy, maybe. Like, this one's just really amazing.
Well,
Yeah.
that's it. I think this one it evokes that imagery. Like it took me right back into the mysticism of the 80s, if you will. You know, on looking at VHS covers in the video shop. You know, just looking to rent the movie. Like it really had that quality about it. That red and the blue. Oh man, it does it for me, man.
Yeah, super good.
Well, it's almost they've been
nice.
listening, right? Because we trashed Disney and Lucasfilm for the lack of creativity in the posters on multiple podcasts. And it seems like now, hey, look at that. It's something pretty cool that they've done.
Oh, it's awesome again.
I'm taking
Have you guys seen the one where someone kind of animated it a bit in the sense that you see the lightsaber ignite in a way and then the light kind of grow off it? It's really
cool.
Nice.
It's really nicely done. And then everybody in the crowd got one. Again, lucky bastards.
Poster.
Yeah. Did you
No
hear
lightsaber.
how
Print.
Oh man.
Did you hear how much some people were selling them for? I don't know. First of all, why you'd want to get rid of them, but anyhow.
Well, quite, yeah.
You're about to tell us why, I bet.
No, it was in the hundreds of dollars, but I mean,
Well, there
come
you
on.
go.
Yeah.
For hundreds of dollars, I would sell it
I
too.
don't know if I would. I don't know.
$500, all yours.
Yeah, maybe if it goes up that high, kind of into the the high hundreds, low thousands, it'd be like hard to justify. But if you think about like some of those people have been camping out overnight just to get into that panel,
It may have
Yeah.
Ryan Johnson's signature
get
on
one
it.
thing. It may have Ryan Johnson's signature on it. You may want to keep that
Yeah,
because it might be, it might be quite important. Like it may represent that kind of that really nice gesture he's made to fans.
And 25 years when my kids need 20 years my kids need to go to college, maybe I'm going to want the the $5,000 it's worth then.
Well, it'd be worth more then, exactly.
Yeah.
This is what I'm thinking. This is the long game you play.
Yeah.
All right, so I mean, we're all in love with this teaser trailer, or the teaser poster, which I need to get my hands on. I absolutely need to have it. But then we got treated to the first teaser, and I don't know if I don't want to say slack-jawed, but I am my curiosity is really piqued. Right off the hop, Luke speaks, which is something I wasn't sure if we were going to get that. I thought maybe they'd make us wait a little bit longer. But there he is. Breathe. Just breathe. A lot of vibes of, Daisy Ridley talking about how she sees the light and the darkness, and that evokes the same line as Snoke from The Force Awakens' first teaser trailer. The darkness and the light.
The awakening. Yeah.
And the balance.
Yep.
Anyway, so this could be a freeform thing. So, Rob, I'll kick it over to you first. Something that jumps out to you about the trailer.
It's one of those great trailers that tells you very little but shows you just enough to get you kind of your interest peaked. The first thing that jumped out to me after watching it a couple of times, because I've watched it a couple of times now, quite a few, is the fact that it's a middle film with a space battle and a ground battle. I don't know that we've had anything like that before.
Nope, not in Star Wars.
That's going to be something.
Yep.
Yeah, that's going to be something. Whether or not that might end up being overkill is kind of difficult to say for sure. But
Or if it leads to an anticlimactic episode 9.
Yeah, hopefully not. And from the looks of it, it does seem like it could very easily be. Some of it could be quite sparing. They could. It doesn't necessarily. Neither one evokes a massively long, drawn-out battle. From what little we saw, they don't seem like huge kind of strategic affairs.
It's funny you say that. I was wondering if it was just going to be a smash and grab, but that they didn't give us context, so it looks like a full-fledged.
Yeah, maybe. I think you're probably right. Actually, it's hard to say. The other thing that caught me was how visually stunning the ground shot was, with the red dust kicking up from the little speeder things.
No, yeah. I mean, almost every shot was visually stunning, which I mean is a hallmark
so
of
much
a Star Wars movie. But this one seems to take it up a notch.
Just that
little things, just crystal clear kind of visuals.
Those speeder things, just touching back on that was so cool. Like if I saw a still of that shot out of the driver's cockpit, right, and you could see those new gorilla ape-like AT-ATs coming at them. So it's very, very similar to Empire in that regard, except the snow is like blood red, which is pretty awesome. But those aren't B-Wings. I mean, we had thought last week that we were going to get to see our like a fleet of B-Wings going at these things because of the cockpit. Although they seem like a similar design, they seem to skim the surface there, but they're not the same.
If that's a B-Wing, that's a really, really weird looking B-Wing. Like that's the oddest looking craft I've seen in Star Wars.
It's very odd.
But Rob, I'm glad you mentioned that, because picking up that red dust, like Rian Johnson had a bit on, I don't know if it was EW, but what is with that? What is that stuff? And it seems like it's going to be some fairly important stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I have no guesses. I have no idea what that stuff could be or what its use is for.
No.
It kind of reminds me of the TFA too, when the X-Wings were kicking up the water.
Yes. Yes, indeed. And there's a couple of things. I mean, we'll probably come to most of them over the course of this discussion, but there's a few things that kind of jumped out at me. Here's one that kind of jumped out at me that doesn't seem like it's been picked up by anything else. Did anybody else? So there's a bit where you're looking at John Boyega through the camera and his eyes are closed and he's in a kind of pod thing. It looked to me like the outside of the pod had motion kind of going on against it in the reflection, which made me wonder, you get one of the skimmers kind of bumps into shot and rejoins formation.
Yeah.
Is that like a kind of neural interface that he's hooked up to?
No, I read a.
You don't think so?
I think like from what I had gathered, anyhow. I mean that kind of seems more like his bit that he's gonna have in Pacific Rim, but.
Okay.
Supposedly it's a back-to-pod, like a back-to-suit for his, I think his back's a lot more messed up than we're giving credit for, and I think he's gone through an extensive amount of either surgery or back-to-rehabilitation. But someone translated some of the stuff that they were able to see on the pod.
I was just about to ask if anybody had done that.
Yeah, so someone translated one little bit, said stable, so I guess thinking stable condition, whatnot.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
Yeah, the sense I got from that sequence is that wherever they were is under attack, and they're evacuating and they're shuttling.
That was my other thought, but I just liked the idea that he was kind of, he was maybe even not conscious of what he was doing, but he was behind the wing of one of those skimmers.
That would be
just maybe not entirely comfortable with it because it's still getting used to that interface.
Yeah, well, I mean, we didn't see him pilot much, if at all, in The Force Awakens, but that would be certainly a new. Yeah. Maybe he's proficient at video games, and that would just play well to his skill set.
Yeah, like a simulator. Presumably he's a stormtrooper, right? So maybe they've auditioned these troops for fighter pilot training. It's one of those ones that if I will be amazed if it turns out to be true. But it was just the first thing that struck me was, there's movement outside his pod. Looking at the steel, actually,
you called it, Rob. If it turns, we'll mark it. We'll timestamp it. You called it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody laughed at me when I said that Galen built the floor into the Death Star, and it turned out to be right there. So, anything can happen. I can turn out to be right. Stranger things have happened in this.
James, anything for you that visually or otherwise stuck out at you?
Visually, I really like the shot of her working the lightsaber from really far away on the cliffs.
Oh, that was nice, yeah.
Yeah, something about lightsabers from far away I really dig. Or lightsabers close up. Or lightsabers from a medium distance are also cool.
I think I sense a theme.
I do like the lightsabers. Visually, like you said, I mean, the whole thing is like, you want to watch it again, not because the trailer's good, which it is, but because the stills, you just want to pause it on every shot because there's 40 posters in there.
Yeah, I think that's a credit to Rian Johnson. I think he had mentioned one of the panels that he was one of the only people, aside from the principal photographer, being able to take photos on set, and he did it. He was taking photos throughout all the panels he was involved in as well. So you could tell that he's got the eye for it, and he's just perfect for this, hopefully for this movie anyhow.
Yeah. Let's hold off another 8 months on that one.
I think my first nitpick I want to just kind of mention, I don't know if you guys noticed this, we didn't get much of Kylo yet.
Nope.
The stills that I have seen, it kind of seems like his scar has moved over to the left or right 2
somebody
inches.
somebody pointed that out on Twitter. It's like, doesn't it just suck when your scar heals and moves?
Yeah, like, and the scar doesn't look that severe. Like the part that was on his cheek, that looks severe to me. Like I thought there was going to be some. Here, let's give him a reason to wear a mask now. You know, like
Yeah. Except his mask is, he's crumpled on the floor.
Yeah. Well, hopefully
know?
he gets a new kind of mask there, but at least give him a
Maybe.
reason to. I didn't like that the scar on the forehead part anyhow had moved over the eye, which is a cooler look, but I don't think it's what happened.
No.
Well, I mean, a question that we're going to ask ourselves, and I guess I'll ask it now, is how much of what we saw is actually meant to be in the final cut?
There is that.
Given what we saw from, The Force Awakens suffered from a bit of that, and Rogue One is now infamous for that. So who knows? I mean, that looks like a shot that really could have been designed for a trailer specifically.
Yeah, here's one thing to keep in mind as well. I'm sure there's a very particular reason why they've, in the teaser poster, Kylo's left side, his left, our right, is the one that's being depicted rather than the other way around.
Well,
there's a very good chance that that's being kept as a kind of, the gruesomeness of what's left of his kind of cheek, and the look of it is going to be a big deal.
Yeah, there's also that shot of him where he's kind of pointing the saber, and you don't, half his face is covered, so you don't get to see the whole
Yeah,
thing.
it's completely. His glove is in the way of his sort of lower half of his face. So there's a good chance they're keeping that as a kind of a bigger deal reveal when the time comes. We're going to be like, oh damn, that looks. He doesn't look well.
No, like that. It looked like a grisly wound.
Yeah,
and it's for a movie that takes place back to back consecutively like that, he healed up pretty quickly.
Sure.
I mean, I know back to works wonders, but that seems like a really good job. Maybe he's got a grade A reconstructive surgeon.
Well, he's been trained in the light side of the Force, so maybe he's got some of the healing still in his repertoire.
Yeah, maybe.
Right, that's why Snoke likes him. Speaking of Snoke, he's not in there at all.
Not at all.
Do you reckon he's even in the movie?
Yeah.
In any meaningful way?
I
would
think
think
so.
so.
Yeah,
You think
MSW had a bit that makes it sound like he's definitely, at least.
Yeah, from that it does sound like it. Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine he'll be in this
with the gold slippers.
I hope so. He's to me, he's the most intriguing character in the whole thing at the moment. I care about what I care about Rey's lineage to a point, but I could get to episode 9 without knowing it, and I'd be fine. But Snoke is the one I want to know about.
I agree with that. Him and Maz. I want to know a lot more about Maz too, but Snoke is probably the most intriguing. I agree.
Yeah, I want to see what agreed. Like, I want to see what he's been up to, what he's been scheming for, what his master plan is. I guess.
As an aside, I have a friend who believes that Snoke and Maz are the same person.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, no, I'm deadly serious on that. He's accepted. I think that it's a very unlikely possibility, but he feels like there's more to the. I think he puts a lot of stock in the line, "I'm no Jedi, but I know the Force." But as we've seen, I think Rogue One has kind of muddied that water for him anyway. So I think he's walked that back since then.
Yeah,
because obviously Chirrut's also not a Jedi but he knows the Force, and it almost feels like you could make that same argument that Chirrut's also Snoke, based on the same. But based on dialogue, that's exactly the same kind of argument to make. So hopefully he's kind of walked that back, but we'll see. But at the same time, he's going to be bloody insufferable if it turns out to be true.
Oh man,
Oh my goodness, Rob! I know this guy who called the Death Star flaw being built in. Will not let it go.
Oh, not that guy. The guy on Talk Star Wars. Don't get me started. Fucking prick.
So, anybody read Empire's End yet?
I haven't.
No, I'm not I like the stories Chuck Wendig tells. I find his writing style very jarring. The present tense writing style, I don't get on with it at all.
Yeah, I heard that
I've
criticism a lot.
Yeah.
But I think
Life Debt was okay, was bearable, but Empire's End, I haven't picked it up yet, and I've not been in any desperate rush to.
It's good. It's the best of the three. I can say that, and it's not even close.
Oh, okay.
So if that helps you at all,
maybe I will pick it up.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Thanks, Carl.
But I think those cruisers, which are I think clearly Resistance or Republic cruisers, I think those are the Starhawks.
Okay.
From that,
I know of them.
again, which would be the good guys using old fleets of ships. The Falcon
Yeah.
makes an appearance, and A-wings.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I think they're larger A-wings, almost like the A-wings we see in Rebels that are like
Like capital A wings.
Yeah.
They're elongated a bit.
Yeah, they're taller, they're beefier. So that's going to be cool to see. And if you pause a few frames, you'll clearly see them. Well, I mean, we're all waiting for this part. Luke's foreboding line. The one truth that he does know: it's time for the Jedi to end. Ooh.
All right. I want to take the reins on this one because I've been thinking about it a while, and I kind of somewhat know a bit how James feels about it, and I'm somewhat in the same line of James. Like I love the way they're going with this. When Luke asks, "What do you see?" I see the light, I see the dark, and I see the balance. I'm still a big advocator of I want to bring balance to the Force, and in this saga, I want to see that, and I do believe again that the Jedi, having been around for 25,000 years, seeing these books, these journals of the wills within this tree, I think there's just so much more to be learned here. And the Jedi, in a sense, maybe it is time to move away from that, but I want this saga to have a conclusion and a resolution to that story. Like, if as James has said, if we find a new way of doing things and looking at things, and they're not Jedi anymore, and they continue making stories after this point, I don't know if I'm super on board with that. I want to see this balance come to fruition, and I want to see the story have an ending. And but I don't know if Disney will do that because they need to milk this thing, and they're probably going to want to continue telling stories into the future. But I want to see it end here, and then you can tell all the stories you want in that 25,000 year time frame.
James, you want to pick up on that?
Well, contrary to Corey's negativity, I love everything about the trailer and the line. I think they're heading in the perfect direction. I don't know why Corey has to always be, negative Nancy over there.
I love what they did.
This is a bait and switch like I've never seen.
I watched the trailer, and I like turned off my computer, and I sat there in like silence and went like, that looked really cool, and I hate it. I was really mad, and I got on my phone, and I texted Kyle, and I said, I hate it. I'm angry, and they're leaving the Jedi, and I'm mad. And Kyle talked a bunch of sense into me and made me realize that they're probably have a story to tell that involves more than that line. So I've been talked off the ledge, and I'm open to the idea that there's cool storytelling possible with Luke saying that. But like Corey said, I really hope they're not walking the Star Wars saga away from having Jedi as the heroes, because I don't know, that's sort of a big deal to me.
I get the Jedi can change and all that, but I still, like I said, I just want to see, okay, they get it right this time, and let's end it here. Let's bring this balance. Let's have galactic peace or whatever it is,
Well, Rob, I think you probably have some strong opinions on this too.
Yeah, I mean, I get where you guys are coming from. I think the thing to bear in mind is just because the line is delivered at the end of the teaser doesn't mean it's delivered at the end of the. It's not doesn't mean it can't be one of the first things he says in the movie. Because we certainly think we've been getting the impression that, especially from this panel, that Luke is kind of a little bit jaded and a little bit. He's disconnected. He's clearly consciously disconnected himself from the rest of the galaxy. So he's been doing some soul searching over a period of about 5 or 6 years, we think.
Yeah.
By the bloodline timeline. So there's a good chance that she comes to him and says, look, this is your weapon. It's a weapon of a Jedi. And he's just like, I don't want there to be any Jedi. The Jedi made these mistakes, and they saw this as the way forwards, and they didn't think about the possibility of any other thing. The Jedi need to end. And then it's up to Rey to kind of, with him, establish that just because the Jedi historically were one way, it doesn't mean they can't adapt to how things, to more, once you gain more understanding, how they can evolve their mindset and evolve their belief system.
No, I 100% agree with you there. Like you said, I don't think when he says that I don't think it's obviously at the end of the movie, but I get that too. Like maybe perhaps Rey is the one that has all this potential, and he finally sees it, and he realizes, okay, we do have a shot here to make something work, and she kind of brings him back from the brink, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I've been on the bandwagon lately of saying that Rey could be some sort of re-embodiment of the original Jedi or an original Force user, and maybe through these flashbacks that she's been having that Luke is coaching her through, she starts to see what she could be or what the Jedi could be, and she coaches Luke back and says, no, like, we can do this. We can put the Jedi back on course. Because I think what's obvious now is that the Jedi that were at their peak, quote, air quotes, in the prequel era, were already rotting from the inside. And so that, by the time we come around to Luke, he's been given a false training, and maybe he's then led to believe that, well, this whole Jedi thing, no wonder they got wiped out. This sucks. I don't even know what's next. And then enter Rey. But
that's it. I could totally see Rey as being like this, like a really fast learner, like starting to teach Luke things. Like if Luke says, okay, well, this is what the Jedi said, like yada, yada, yada. And then she could just be like, well, yeah, no, that's stupid. Like that doesn't make any sense. Like this is the way it should be. And he's kind of like, you kind of do have a point. Like why would it be like Jedi shouldn't be dealing in absolutes, right?
Yeah, maybe that's the kind of that kind of attitude. The thing to keep in mind as well is Rian Johnson's been chosen for this project for a reason, and this is what I believe the reason to be. And this is actually something I've not voiced anywhere, so you can have this as a sort of exclusive for now. Yeah. Wait,
I don't
do
pause
them
right
very
here so I
often,
can
but when I do-
insert a sound effect.
Rian Johnson's been chosen for this project, and there's a particular reason I think he's that appeals to him about this and appeals to Lucasfilm about him. Rian Johnson, one of his most famous movie kind of to date is Looper, which is a time travel story. I'm not suggesting that we are going to time travel in Star Wars Episode 8, but I do think what we're going to see is a story that needs a director who understands how to bring us backwards and forwards in time in a clear way that makes sense. Because I think we're going to be spending a lot of time revisiting history.
Agreed.
And I think one of the reasons I say this with more impunity than I did before is because of the shot in the teaser of Luke clearly kind of stumbling across the remains of the Academy.
Yeah, we're back. We're back in that Force back vision, right?
Yeah, it reaffirms that kind of he wasn't actually there, so it was all kind of done while he was away picking berries or whatever the hell he does. I don't know. So I think that we're going to see a lot of shots and a lot of explanation, a lot of exposition in the story that's going to be jumping back and forwards in the timeline. So I think in order to do that, you need a director who understands how to portray time periods in a way that's clear enough to the viewer. That's like, oh, I understand. We're backward. We've gone backwards now and we've gone forwards. As an aside, I watched Man of Steel last night and I did not get that feeling from that film. I eventually picked up where I was in the timeline a lot, but it wasn't always clear to me at first whether I was in the current sort of, in the now, or whether I was back then or whatever.
No, that makes a lot of sense, Rob. And it fits nicely with what Kyle's theory about her being a re-embodiment of an original Jedi or something, that you'd have to do some pretty big time jumps to tell that story too.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear. Like once Kyle had mentioned it, and we were kind of like leaning in that direction as well. But this is a really great way to put it. To connect this saga to the next saga that takes place at the origin of the Force and the Jedi. Somehow Rey is that connection, and that time jump would make a lot of sense there.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, they could be setting up. If they, let's say they close the Skywalker saga with Episode 9, and then, like Corey's been saying, jump back in time to whatever period in time, and Rey is reprising her role as some other character, but it's still her.
Oh man,
like that's
a deep cut.
That's been my working theory for now.
There's one thing I will say is that the writers would have to be careful then, if we're kind of talking about Rey might teach Luke a few things in terms of widening his, changing his perspective and kind of looking at it from a more fresh-faced point of view. they have to be really careful that it doesn't come across like a ham-fisted teenage girl saying, "You silly old man," because I think that would be, I don't know how well that would be received by the kind of longer term fans. They'll say
we agree with you, Rob, because we were harping on the fact that Hayden Christensen can't appear to Luke as a Force ghost. It would he's just too young. Even though in theory the Chosen One should have lots to tell him, on screen it would just look weird.
Yeah,
I'd be okay with it.
The voiceover would be fine. I agree.
The voice would work. Yeah.
The voice would be the best.
I do see what you mean, because also he has no. This is one of those reasons that the Hayden Force Ghost in Jedi doesn't quite work, because Luke has no concept of Hayden as Anakin as a young man. So you can make the argument that it's the last time Anakin was Anakin, and after that he's Vader, up until that last moment. But Luke doesn't understand. I can't imagine Luke straight away goes, "Oh, that's my dad." At first, he's got to be like, "Who the hell is that?" He's just, I
was just looking at some old wrinkly prune under that helmet. That was you?
Yeah, exactly. That was you. Wow, that suit was not kind. Yeah.
Well, in regards to Rey again, though, like I think that in this movie we're going to find out that she's a key piece of the puzzle that Luke's been searching for, and the Force has been searching for. Sure. And like, if she is a virgin or whatever it is, I think we've seen it in The Force Awakens how quickly she learned, how quickly she picked up how the Force kind of works. And once she's truly able to channel that, and Luke kind of gives her a bit of training, I think she's going to be able to do unbelievable things. Like, even in the trailer, you see her meditating and the rocks starting to lift around her, right? Like, I think she's even going to blow Luke's mind when he's going to be like, okay, like, you need to take it down a notch, Jean Grey. You're going to go all Dark Phoenix on us.
That's a possibility.
I think you're overestimating how they're going to portray her power in that scene. From what I understand, they're going to blow our minds with Luke's power on that island.
Okay.
And that's just from some stuff I read months ago about exploding huts. But I bought into the idea that we're going to see a super powerful Luke.
James, just to be clear, because in the Star Wars universe we need the context. You mean huts as in domiciles, right?
That's true. Good point.
You just say he just walks around exploding huts. It just means like Jedi ends very differently.
I thought you guys knew my pronunciation. The hut species is a longer T pronunciation, Rob. Obviously.
Oh, my apologies.
No, that's fine.
I'm not on the show all the time.
The boys probably picked up on it, but
no. Granted,
I just saw an excuse for a cheap gag joke, and I went for it. You know me.
Granted, I want to see Luke do amazingly powerful things. I'm just kind of trying to point out that maybe I think Rey, if given the chance, has more potential. Kind of.
I think the opposite. I kind of think the opposite's true. I'll phrase what I mean. I kind of was chatting to some of the TSW listeners the other day, and one of them was saying, I think she's going to be like super powerful, and the other one said, I don't think she's going to be that powerful. And I think what's going to happen is it's going to appear she's not going to do anything like super impressive, but what she is going to do is be able to focus and hone what she is capable of doing. So obviously we've seen in TFA what she's capable of doing, and some of it, most of it makes sense, some of it doesn't. You can have that argument another time, but I think what we're going to see is she's not going to gain that huge amount of extra power, but what we are going to see is her gain control over what she's doing, and I think she's going to be more powerful overall for that reason. So I think she's going to be more. She's not going to be kind of pulling Star Destroyers out of the air or anything like that, but I think we'll see her become more disciplined and more able to focus and channel what she can do. So she will be more powerful. It just might not be that obvious on screen that she is.
No, I think that I think that just might allude to her potential power. Like I said, I don't see her pulling Star Destroyers out of the air or anything like that yet.
Christ, I would be a little put out if that was the case. It's like, yeah, you heard that criticism from TFA, and that's what you decided to come back with.
You went a little too far the other way, guys.
Yeah, she's just lobbing fleets around for fun. Like, come on.
Well, there's two key lines from The Force Awakens, and I know that Rian Johnson was right there in the production of it, or at least the writing of it. So I can't imagine that he goes into writing Episode 8 and doesn't take these into account. So Laura Santeca, at the very beginning of the movie, says, without the Jedi, there can be no balance in the Force. And I don't think that's a throwaway line. I don't know that they're going to invalidate that in this movie. So I think that what Luke is saying, that the Jedi have to end, I think that comes from, defeat and bitterness and remorse. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just my read at this point. And the other key piece
I can see that.
is Snoke. He says that if Skywalker returns, the new Jedi will rise. And at the time, I think we all safely assumed, well, that just means that Rey's going to link up with Luke and they're going to form a new academy and they won't be stopped. Mm-hmm. But I don't think we considered that what new Jedi will be is a different breed of Jedi. It's just not going to be picking up the torch from the last guy. It's going to be, we're still Jedi, but we're living by a different set of rules here. You're not going to get us the way you did before.
I agree. I like that, and I'll raise you even further. Actually, there's another line that kind of supports that theory. It's Maz Kanata talking about the different incarnations of the dark side of the Force, and she makes a very conscious distinction between the Sith and the First Order. So to her, there's that, like you said, there's a new Jedi. There may be a new Jedi that kind of takes a different form, but it's not necessarily called the Jedi, or if it is, it's different. But that's because they're reacting to a different type of dark side force. It's not the Sith anymore, it's somebody else.
Yes.
So in order to have that balance, you can't just have the Jedi can't be the answer to the First Order because they're not they're not the two opposite sides of the same coin, as it were.
Yeah, it was Jedi versus Sith, right? So
coin.
those are gone, and you need something else to fight Snoke and the Knights of Ren. So Jedi philosophically can't fight that. Yeah,
that's kind of what I alluded to. Yeah, you kind of took the words out of my mouth there. And that Maz Kanata line almost kind of strengthens that, the fact that she distinguishes between the two sects.
Well,
is quite.
Excuse me, sects.
Sects. Sorry, I'm new to the show, James. I pronounce
T.
X and CTS differently.
That's the short T. I got you. I'm with you.
Yeah, that's good. All right.
So do you I like what you said there, Rob. I do like that.
Oh.
I don't know, how important is it for you that the good guys be physically actually titled Jedi?
I mean, it makes a lot of my t-shirts obsolete if they're not. But... No, it's if it's clearly explained enough that that's still that these are still these are still the heroes, and it's not, and they do it in a way that's not kind of especially invalidating of the sort of the Jedi that have come before, then I'm on board. But they have to be really careful not to make the position of the others that have come before much weaker. It's like I said, you don't want Rey to just be almost like a sitcom with Luke, like, you silly old man stuck in your ways. In the same way, you don't want them to be looking back and going, "Oh, silly old Jedi," because at the time they were, I don't know, they're just doing what they thought was right.
Yeah,
so you have to be careful.
They can't nullify 40 years of heroes.
No, exactly. So they have to be careful how they approach it. If they do it in a way that's respectful, and I have no reason to believe they won't, because they've been nothing but respectful to George's kind of original vision in the past. I feel
George didn't think so when they made these movies.
Well, this is true, but that's probably how do I put it? I can't put it in a nice way, so I'll just have to leave it.
I think we'll continue with the Jedi, but I think again we're going to have a different understanding of what it is to be a Jedi, and from this trailer, the balance of the dark and the light. Like, I think a true Jedi's place should be that, balancing both the dark and the light, and not necessarily choosing one or the other, but taking qualities, I guess, from both sides and not letting one or the other kind of overcome your decisions.
I don't know if this is canon or not, but didn't Mace Windu do that? Like, wasn't he a Jedi who explored the dark side as well?
I think that's... I'm not sure.
I don't know if it's
still canon. Yeah, let's find out, shall we?
I think James is onto something there. I believe Mace Windu, of all the Jedi, I think he's the one that dabbled and kind of had a better inkling about what goes on the dark side, which makes him even dumber for falling for the whole thing.
And even Qui-Gon as well. You can see Qui-Gon was kind of like the rebellious Jedi in a way, and his master was Count Dooku, right?
Yeah, so Qui-Gon's got a lot of that in him.
He was kind of questioning things as well. I'm holding in my hand here, which is not canon, but I found it in the wild yesterday, a Darth Revan toy, and the back description of the character is the enigmatic former hero of the Jedi Civil War. Darth Revan continued to play a pivotal role in the ongoing war between the Sith Empire and the Galactic Republic. So he's got... Yeah. I don't know, he's got a purple lightsaber like Mace Windu, and he's also got a Ren one, so...
Yeah, he's Darth Revan's like the KOTOR ways. At the time, he's kind of the big bad guy of the era, but there's a bit more to it than that. And he ends up kind of back and forth a lot between the dark and the light in the course of the Civil War. But I like that they're kind of bringing those characters back into prominence, not into canon, but there's lots of characters who are being brought back into prominence and kind of being made. What's the word? They're making a big deal of certain characters, even though they're
attention to
it.
Like look at the Bendu, for instance,
almost like
too.
they want us to see something in these characters.
Almost, yeah. It's almost like it's almost like there's themes,
yeah,
like that they want to kind of allude to. That's
or
how
about this? I mean, you guys have obviously all seen the poster as we just talked about, but the way that her lightsaber goes from Skywalker blue to Skywalker red, like the transition. I mean, that right there, it seems like a merging and a melding of the two to me in a way. And I hope that's the case. I hope that's the case. To be honest, I really like that. Like I've said it since a long time. Like a Dark Crystal feel. You get both opposing factions. They find that middle ground and there's balance.
Yeah, well, I mean, looks like a lot of things are pointing towards this middle ground balancing act, which to me would sound a lot like the end of the saga with Episode 9. I can't imagine that they bring balance and then knock it out of balance again just for the sake of it.
There is a way of doing it. It's taking a big time jump between the end of Episode 9 and the beginning of Episode 10.
Yeah.
So, every generation has its kind of light versus dark battles.
Now, I've always wondered
like
if,
the
like
Matrix.
Exactly. There you go.
I've always wondered if
Virtual
they have the
remote
guts
fist
to
bump,
do that,
Corey.
though. To step away from all that and leave behind all the marketing linchpins that they've used to prop up this new saga.
Well, yeah, there is that, but at the same time, it's not like we're not expecting the Han Solo movies to flop, right? So they got some marketing linchpins there, and there'll be some new characters created in those that will probably, will hopefully endear themselves to fans as well. So they're not going to completely shut off their marketing bonanzas. Plus, they can do Episode 7, 8, and 9 special editions, right? Everybody loves those.
They're coming. We know it.
Well. More rocks. Always more rocks.
Okay, so I think we kicked that around quite a bit. Is there anything else we want to say? I mean, aside from the fact that this is a teaser and it's meant to tease us and provoke us, which it certainly
did. A good job of that. Yeah. Yeah, very well done.
Yeah, very well done. I have to say, I think I'd seen you tweet this, Rob. Spider-Man trailer just gave away way too much.
So it's the absolute antithesis, isn't it?
Yeah, you really pretty much saw the whole movie there.
It's amazing to me that these came from the same parent, the company at the top.
Well, it's Sony probably making.
Yeah, just blame Sony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Idiots. Let's make a Venom movie outside the MCU. That's a good idea.
Yeah, I know who's involved in that, like at the sort of executive level, and they're not known for their history of great ideas.
But I think one thing to take away again from the trailer is that the First Order is really pressing the attack now. Like they're not giving up. Like, okay, the Hosian system is gone, Starkiller is gone, but they're just saying, it's on now. We've unveiled our cards and let's press the attack, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, they're seizing control.
Yeah, and Phasma's back. Gotta love it.
It looks like they're doubling down or tripling down on Phasma.
There's a good chance that Phasma's back. I mean, obviously that might be a flashback, but I think there's a fairly good possibility that Phasma's back, and I'm really happy about that because she was underutilized for me. Oh,
criminally underutilized. But it seems like she's got. I guess we'll touch on this very quickly, but there's a Phasma novel coming and a Phasma 4-part comic book coming. Yes. So it sounds like they're really setting this character up for a much bigger role in Episode 8. Okay, so I mean that's all I've got to say on The Last Jedi. It's a teaser, so there's not, like you said, Rob. There's a lot of visuals that we kind of wow, but as far as story goes, we've got nothing.
Yeah, we can't jump to too many assumptions here.
Yeah. Anyway, so Corey, I know you've got a hard stop in about 20 minutes, and you'll cry yourself in your soup at dinner if you don't get to talk about Rebels Season 4. So should we talk about that right now?
Let's do it.
All right, so the final season is on deck, man. I'm not surprised by that. I think I said very strongly that I'm for sure season 4 was going to be the last. Not surprised to see that confirmed, but 15 episodes instead of the usual 22. A little bit surprised by that, but it means that we're going to get a lean package this time around.
A lean and mean package.
I'm good with that.
Mine too. Like, I have to say though that when Filoni said it, yes, I was kind of expecting it as well. I thought maybe they can stretch it into 5 to tell this grand story, but it looks like they're going to be moving on with things. And he said it himself. Like, this is, in my opinion, like I know what it's like not to get to finish a series, so I'm going to do this series justice. And you got to let us do what we need to do in order to tell our story, and this is what we need to do to give these characters and this story justice. And I'm totally on board with that. Although it's sad for me. Like, I love the Clone Wars a lot, but there's something about this crew, this family that I'm really invested in this show a lot. So it hurts a bit, but I'm very scarily excited.
Yeah, well, Corey, continue, man. Just sing your lungs out. What about this season 4 trailer excited you?
It was incredible. You saw everything. I loved Hera's narrative. Just puts you right in the driver's seat or the passenger seat. You know, she's just like, hang on for the ride. Like, this is a story about this awesome crew. I kind of found it a bit odd that, you know, we've been told from the beginning that it was Ezra's story, but as the seasons have progressed, you know, it's become more than that, obviously. And they said it's the story of a boy and a girl, so they're really getting Sabine into the forefront of this last season as well. We're in store to see a buttload of Mandalorians involved with the rebellion, I would think. The greater picture of the rebellion's connection to Mandalore. We're going to get to see X-Wings. Jesus.
Did you notice your boy Chopper?
Jesus.
Of course, that scene of Chopper was so cool. Like,
no, did you notice him in the socket of an X-Wing?
I didn't actually.
Go back. Go look at that establishing shot of the X-Wings. It's Hera.
So you spotted Jesus, but no Chopper.
Did you see that scene, that one clip of Chop though, when he's like flying by and he takes a swing at someone super aggressively? Like, I was like, yeah, you go, boy. I was like, this trailer
doesn't
had
even matter. Doesn't even matter if they deserve it or not. Just, yeah, man, you do you.
I had goosebumps like 2-3 times watching this, and every time I've watched it since, I've gotten goosebumps. So I'm super stoked to see everything in this season. I really like, we see Bo-Katan holding the Darksaber. Looks like she's going to be uniting Mandalore.
Well, yeah, she has a tussle with Sabine at some point. And I don't know if that's where she gets it, or maybe she challenges Sabine to a duel, and that's how she gets it away from her. Because you see Sabine standing behind Bo-Katan as she raises the sword. So it seems like whatever beef they had between them gets settled.
I kind of like what, you know, they were pressing Filoni for answers about Ahsoka, and he did the funniest thing in the panel where he had this t-shirt that said Ahsoka lives with a question mark. The trailer came on, and when he came back, he changed his t-shirt for Ahsoka lives with an exclamation point. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Oh, that's
trolling genius.
That's what a troll is.
Amazing.
Yeah. But just the fact that he had said that, you know, we're going to see her again. And he said, you know what? I said the exact same thing last weekend. I believe that we'll see her in some way, shape, or form. And he said, in some shape or form, like, you're probably going to get a taste of Ahsoka. I don't think they're going to have time to tell that story with what they have left to do in 15 episodes. So I think we're touch upon Ahsoka's character. There's going to be no that they can expand upon in further animated ventures, if you will. But I don't think they're going to be able to flush that storyline out with everything that they're doing. But just a quick side note, someone had tweeted this, and I started trying to do a little research. But have you guys heard someone speculating that wolf in the trailer could possibly be Ahsoka?
I did see that. I'm not buying it.
No, eh?
Nah, I'm not buying it. Yeah, it's possible.
I liked it. It was very Princess Mononoke.
Well, yeah, you know, Filoni said that, you know, that's kind of where she comes from. So maybe. Rob, I think you're into Rebels somewhat.
I am, yeah. I mean, we're behind in the UK because of some BS. We got Twin Sons, I think, the week before last. So we still haven't seen the finale come through yet. So that's interesting. And I'm a little bit miffed about it.
Yeah, I was speaking. I was
But,
speaking to Ads about it recently over the weekend, and he's saying you guys even got to watch. 0 Hour hasn't even premiered out there yet, and here they are at Celebration talking about season 4, which is really a.
Yeah, I had to make a real conscious decision to whether or not to watch the season 4 trailer because I don't know how season 3 ends because it hasn't happened. It hasn't come yet. So I was really, really in two minds about whether or not to watch the trailer and it's, I understand the logistics of it, but I think in the internet age, it's really borderline indefensible that there's such a big gulf between different times, different regions and when they get stuff. It just seems daft.
It's unacceptable. It's so
like, I mean, it's bad enough. It's bad enough, right? Having to having to stay off Twitter for the day because Game of Thrones premieres at like 2 a.m. in the UK. So you have to stick off Twitter for the day because some twat might, well, they are.
They absolutely are.
They might come in and sort of spoil your fun because it makes them feel big downstairs. It's bad enough doing that, and then when you factor in, you have to wait up to 3 weeks at times for Rebels to kind of catch up. It's ridiculous. I don't know how you're supposed to, insulate yourself in this day and age from spoilers for any decent amount of time, because understandably people are excited about these things and they might want to talk about them, and I get it. Like I say, I feel like they're twats if they don't preface it with like, hey, maybe be aware of spoilers for what I'm about to do. But I understand their desire to do so, but for me, like I say, there's no excuse really for 3-week delays between episodes coming to one particular location or another.
No,
it's just ridiculous.
It's unacceptable,
No, I
and it forces fans to look for other air quotes illicit ways to get their hands on the episode.
Well,
you force their hands.
Quite so. And, I can make the argument, really, that having already bought the season pass, I would have a kind of moral carte blanche to go ahead and find that online. And, obviously for Twin Suns, I kind of had to because, Mark wants to talk about this stuff on TSW as soon as it happens in the States. And obviously I'm having to go since I joined TSW, I mean, you're never going to hear me complain about it, right? Because it's been an absolute blast from start to finish, and it's always been the case, and it always will be the case, I'm sure. As long as I'm affiliated with TSW, I'll be having fun with the sort of Star Wars community. But I'll tell you what, it has been a complete departure from what I'm used to doing in terms of how I approach information regarding possible spoilers and that sort of thing. I've always historically been incredibly resistant to spoilers and anything remotely approaching spoilers, to the point where I wasn't even, I'm on Reddit and I was on Star Wars speculation, but I wasn't anywhere near Star Wars leaks because that's actually stuff that's got a good chance of finding its way into the movie. I was always kind of touching that stuff with a 10-foot pole, but ever since Talk Star Wars, it's like that's not really an option for me anymore. It's a sacrifice I've had to make because I love what I do.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Like I'm trying to walk this line right now between how much The Last Jedi spoilers am I going to bring to Tumbling Saber. And I've had people say, "Oh, bring them all. Talk about everything." But I don't know if I want to talk about everything. I want to go into this movie at least a little bit fresh. And I know I'm going to have sort of at worst, a skeleton idea of what's going to go on in this movie, and probably more. But I want to go to... Like, I walked into Force Awakens and was surprised at nothing. I want to go into The Last Jedi and go, oh, I didn't see that coming.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I think there's something to be said for having a pool of possibilities versus knowing absolutely like you said, having a skeleton of a plot is one thing, but if you go in with a kind of pool of possibilities, that's actually quite, in a way, kind of worse, because nothing can surprise you, because you've kind of been built up to every conceivable scenario, and they have to pull something out of left field that nobody has found and picked up on. Because, I mean, guys like Bresnikan are doing sterling work in terms of reporting stuff, but they go deep on some of this stuff in terms of revealing what people might be interested in. And as a result, there's very little that can surprise you now.
Correct,
to the same degree as it would. So it's like, not to knock that stuff, because like I say, they're doing the job and they're doing it very well. But, for somebody like me, and I get the feeling for you as well, Carl, it's like, it's a tough one. It's a tough balance to, a balance. It's a tough one to kind of countenance.
It is. It absolutely is. I see, often from MSW, something go by my Facebook feed, and I go, oh, that's going to be cool to read, and cool to talk about with the guys.
Yeah.
Do I do this? Am I going to click this? And I know that if I
Yeah.
just step away from my computer for 10 minutes, I'll probably never see it again.
Yeah.
But then I miss all that mileage, right?
You know, yeah, and I want listeners to kind of keep this in mind as well. Is like when you're sitting there thinking like, how much do these guys really love what they do? It's like we love it so much that we are breaking ourselves for you. Like we're destroying our own minds and kind of pulling ourselves out of not even bad habits, just our habits, just because we're desperate to give you guys something to talk about and something to enjoy. So, you know, you're welcome.
And I mean, you know, it's just as much fun. I mean, I guess we're trying to rationalize what we're doing, our behaviors here. But to sit here and talk about something we've read, some kind of spoiler report, and go, oh, wow, like what could this mean? And then follow that thread and then, you know, tangent off into 3 or 4 different directions. That's a lot of fun.
Sure.
But eventually,
even
Absolutely.
half the time too, it's all speculation. Like we had speculated last week, we saw those pictures on this dusty red planet that the Resistance is hiding out on. That B-wings are going to be full on in this ground assault, right? But turns out they're not. So
No, it's true. True. Not quite as reported. Like
yeah, I guess the B-wings, if those are the B-wings, then yeah, whatever, I guess.
no, they're a completely different ship. I think they're called skimmers or something like that.
they look like skimmers. Like they look like they could be called skimmers.
The only commonality is the cockpit on the side, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's the shape of the kind
And
of
that, you know,
the horizontal.
Who knows how these reports filter from one person to another, but
Very true.
you could very easily say, well, cockpit on the side, it flies horizontally, it's a B-wing.
Yeah, it's an easy assumption to make.
Somebody hears it and goes, "Oh, that sounds like a B-wing. I'm going to report it's a B-wing."
Well, we saw the set photo, right, of the cockpit, so that's kind of what everyone has assumed, but it's not the case.
But the plot point is still there, and a ground assault on this planet, which is now, and here's another spoiler,
up red dust.
called Crate.
Yeah.
Which
Okay.
was
I didn't know. When did you even pick that up? I didn't even know that.
Bresnikan.
Yeah.
Bresnik. Okay, the man, my man.
Yeah. No, on EW that came out in the moments after the trailer dropped.
Yeah, he's a nice dude, Bresnikan.
Yeah.
Good dude. Had a chat with him. Was honoured enough. He's a nice guy. Very nice guy.
He seems like a
Yeah,
nice
that's
guy.
awesome.
He seems like he
Yeah.
had his head and heart in the right place.
Yeah, for sure. He's a very nice guy.
All right.
What about this? Did
Loop
you guys?
Corey, we got to
Yeah.
loop back to Rebels here because I know you're going to pull the shoot here in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you: Did you see the giant kyber crystal in the background with Saw Gerrera? That was cool.
Oh,
No,
You
I
didn't
didn't
catch
notice
that?
I saw Guerrero, but I didn't see that.
Yeah, I was watching some.
I was too busy looking at his growing hair.
Yeah,
Yes,
and his-
he's looking more like the Rogue One version, isn't he?
yeah, his more sleepy eye.
Yeah, he does seem to be losing it a bit.
But that's exactly like in that scene where whatever he's touching, it looks like it's a giant green kyber crystal. That's the assumption, anyhow.
Well, aren't they all white until such time as a Jedi connects with it and it turns?
Not 100%
Don't know.
sure.
Yeah, I know they bend, like the dark side users have to bend them to their will, and that makes them bleed red.
Yes.
But I don't know about the original colors. I know they turn white after they've been quote healed because of the Ahsoka book.
Yeah, I think the white is kind of their neutral state. And
Yeah,
then
maybe that's
depending on the Jedi they connect with, they'll be blue or green.
or yellow.
Right, for the guards, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they've got some. I don't know who's in particular has a yellow one. Off the top of my head, I can't think, but I know there are some in the order in the prequel era.
The Jedi guards have yellow ones.
Yeah, is it Guardians they're called or something? Like, there's a couple of different.
The Temple
they
Guards.
Used to, the Temple Guards. Yeah, I don't know if there's because there used to be designations for all three. Like in canon, it's not canon anymore. I don't think there used to be like Sentinels, Guardians, and one more that escapes me. But they all used to have their own color of lightsaber. It was in Knights of the Old Republic, the game. You kind of chose it based on how you reacted to certain questions they asked you and stuff. And it would sort of Sentinel, Guardian, and like I say, the other one's just not coming. But each one would have its own unique color. So if they're bringing that, I don't know if they'd ever bring that back in. Seems like a minor thing, but
There's
yeah.
nothing in minor in Star Wars.
True.
Well, okay, so let me ask you guys what you think of the past tense narration from Hera at the beginning. So it sounds, she's talking about her family and they all fought for each other, and she describes each one. Everything is past tense, as if she's recounting the story either as it's about to end, or in her mind, this is the end of all things, and here's my captain's log entry, so future generations can read it, or it's coming from the future. or this doesn't see. This is meant for the teaser trailer only. My mind took me to the Battle of Scarif. It was sort of an all or nothing gambit by the rebellion, right? So I wonder if en route to Scarif, if she's kind of doing a captain's log entry saying, "This is it. This is the rebellion's last stand. We've pushed our chips to the middle, and our odds aren't good. So here's the story of this crew." It's probably not that, but I wanted your guys' take. And James has had to leave us, so we'll posthumously say goodbye to James, although he's not dead. I hope. But Corey, before you jet, what do you think of that possibility?
Well, it definitely her narration definitely set an emotional tone for the trailer, which, again, like every time I watched it, it gave me goosebumps. So I loved it. It really, and that's why I said sad before as well, because it does seem like something bad's gonna happen, or like she almost seems remorseful in saying it. Just the recounting of that tale, it's coming to an end, right? Like, it's sad to me, but definitely very emotional, and I'm digging it. I don't know if it's a captain's log or anything like that. If I had to guess anything, I would think it was made specifically for the trailer, for that emotional resonance. But who knows? But either way, it definitely got me in the feels.
Rob, what's your take on that?
I'm kind of with Corey, actually. I think it's a narrative device used for the teaser. But I mean, there are storyline ways to make it work. You kind of, the last episode of Rebels is you kind of revealed that it's all been being recounted to somebody. It's a little bit of a naff kind of, like a Saint Elsewhere kind of ending, but at the same time, it would fit as long as they handled it kind of well in terms of explaining what was going on. So there may be a kind of, she's recounting this kind of after the fact. I like the idea of the Scarif thing, actually. The kind of, this might be it. So here's the story of the ghost and all who sailed within her, as it were.
Yeah, that's either explanation works for me. If it's for the trailer and we never hear it again, okay.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's also the possibility that she got captured and she's kind of recounting to somebody, like maybe she gets busted out by the end of the episode, but maybe that's like, maybe Thrawn finally gets hold of her and sort of grills her on what's the story behind all this. Like there's bits he's a pretty smart guy, but there's probably bits he doesn't understand or know that kind of further his knowledge. He seems to be a guy who quite likes knowledge.
Yes.
How could you have defeated me?
Yeah, exactly. Like, how did this, what kind of events brought this to be, like where we are now, all that sort of backstory. And he's kind of drawing it out of her because he wants to know everything. And maybe that's, at the end of that episode, she gets busted out and, maybe that ties into Scarif. Like maybe she's just got back on Yavin 4 when they announced for her to sort of make her way over to wherever she's. I can't remember where they call her to in Rogue One. But they make the announcement of General Syndulla.
Yeah.
So maybe she's just got back on the base, and then they sort of summon her to give her a kind of caught up recon of what's going on.
Yeah, and I like
that would tie in quite nicely.
I like the fact that you've seen it in this season and prior seasons. She's always been somewhat involved with the military, and her rank within the military has been growing. And this season really seems that's going to take a front and center stage. Like you see already, in the trailer, she's wearing her rank on her chest now, so that's a good sign. She's just going to have a whole new leadership role. Each character is going to evolve again in this series. Like each season's laid a little something different out for each of them. And oh man, this is going to be a good one, man. Hot Callus, Zeb, Retcon Rex.
Sorry, run that by me again. Did you just say Hot Callus?
Oh yeah, baby. You haven't heard hashtag Hot Callus?
No.
Oh God, it's everywhere. Even in the panel, they were talking about it. Like, the women really seem to be digging the Callus.
The new look.
The simple.
I've not heard this. I mean, I get it. It makes instant sense to me, which is kind of weird. But no, that's the first I've heard of it. That's quite entertaining.
It's so funny how Dave Filoni had kind of mentioned that with the misplacing of one strand of hair, he can become this ultimate sex symbol and like a representation of his freedom from the Empire in a way.
That's because he's a bad boy now,
Yeah. Well,
He looks good as a rebel, though. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did a double take when I first saw it. It's like, oh wait, that's Callus.
Yeah, and
But then that
supposedly
gave me spoilers for the finale.
the retcon Rex there for that. I don't know if you guys saw that concept art.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
So it looks like could possibly be him and Jedi. Who knows?
yeah.
Well, I mean, there's no reason
don't
for them
mind
not to do that, just for shits and
Why
giggles,
not?
right?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, it's not like they're asking for justification to make a spin-off movie or anything. It's just a little thrown in thing. That's like, I mean, the only thing with that is when you do enough of those, it makes the galaxy feel small.
You got to pick your
thankfully,
battles very carefully.
as long as it's sparing. Like that's why I felt like in Rogue One, Dr. Evazan was a bit of a as a fan service thing, but it felt a bit out.
Yeah,
of
I
place
didn't like it.
to me.
That guy should
No,
have.
I wasn't a fan.
That guy should have really counted his lucky stars and thought of a new direction to take his life.
Right.
Like, hey, you know what? That planet's destroyed, and I was on it about 5 minutes ago. Like, maybe I should rethink my life.
Time for a beer.
Yeah.
I should just chill
Who
out
needs
for
a
a
drink?
bit. Like he's always likes to fight
Yeah.
guy all the time.
Yeah. This is it. It's like and Ponda Barber's got to be sitting there like, dude, come on. Like as long as just thank my lucky stars there weren't any blonde-haired boys. Like I hate those kids.
Yeah, he's like, dude, one of these
I
days
hate
you're gonna get
them.
my arm cut off, man. Come on,
Yeah.
relax.
Oh, don't be silly.
Hey Corey, last thing
Yeah.
here. I'm sure this one got your mind racing a bit. Kanan telling Ezra, "We are the balance."
It did. It really. I thought that was really cool. The Wills of the Force saying, this is the final battle. I think what's going to happen on Lothal is going to be the center of this storyline. And if they do not succeed at Lothal in whatever their Thrawn's doing on Lothal, whatever the Empire's doing on Lothal, it's vital to the rebellion that they succeed in their mission with Lothal. Whatever's being produced there, whatever's happening there, I think it's critical that this be their mission. Possibly, we got to take care of this project because if they follow through with what they're doing, the rebellion will not have the ability to take off. Like these guys, they're gonna chop us short at the knees, and we gotta kill it. We gotta destroy this facility to move forward, kind of. And I think that'll be almost the basis of this season. Like they're putting all their eggs in this one basket so that the greater rebellion can move on. But it's the Wills of the Force that they be there. Maybe it's, who knows, self-sacrifice. I don't know. I don't want to see any of these characters die, but I mean everyone seems to think it's going to happen. I don't know, but it's a possibility, that's for sure. I love Ezra's new look too with that modified biker scout helmet. That's dope.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And it seems pretty clear to me, Rob, I don't know if you agree, but Kanan telling Ezra that we are the balance, it seems like they're, again, another thread. We see it in the movies now. We see it in the books. Everything's pointing towards, hinting at the middle, balance.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
I feel like I'm being bludgeoned with a sledgehammer with this middle thing now.
Yeah, it's all right. We get it. Balance. Yeah, good God, man. Like, be subtle. It's just like this is a giant ham fist.
Yeah, they're trying to set it up as best they can with what little time they have, I guess. I mean, the Bendu was our real first introduction to that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, do Kanan and Ezra have these intertwined fates as neutral parties? The balance, like they're just going to sit there in the middle. They'll be present in the original trilogy era, just unaffiliated. I don't understand what they're doing with this.
That's the question that he's answering, isn't it? That's an odd one to, oh yeah, they're just like staying out of it. Like, why would you do that? It doesn't make sense.
Unless they're pulling an Obi-Wan, right? Like, and saying, we can't get involved with the battle because we're doing something else right now that's calling our attention.
Set that up
Maybe,
in 15 episodes?
Give them something really important. Yeah.
Ooh.
It's sad. 15 episodes, I mean, a lot's going to have to happen.
I wonder if Ahsoka is somehow involved with that. She maybe pulls Kanan and Ezra in a particular direction, and they go with her wherever she might be. I don't know. I don't know where they take this, but to have those guys die on screen, everybody kind of expects it, but I don't know that they're going to do it. I don't think they're going to do it for anybody. I'm still shocked that Callus survived season 3. So at this point, I'm convinced that nobody will die.
Yeah.
Until proven otherwise.
Steve Blum actually said in the panel that him and Hot Callus are going to take off to Lyrasan together and live happily ever after.
Oh, nice.
Well, Zeb is the only character I could see them getting rid of, because he just seems rather aimless. He's just there, right? Every time he gets like his own standalone episode, it really contributes nothing.
Yeah, no, exactly. He's got no, much like Harrison Ford used to make the argument in Episode 6 that needed resonance, and so he was sort of pushing for the sacrifice of Han, but he had no real threads. Like Zeb certainly has no real threads tying him to the story in any meaningful way.
Well,
I mean, to an extent, neither does Sabine, but I think they're going to keep her in anyway because
they're working on that,
she's
right?
Really cool.
I think Callus and Zeb's destinies are going to probably be intertwined. We met them like when the only episode Zeb had on his own was the Honorable Ones with Callus.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So I think those two are kind of maybe be buddies or something like that. Start a platoon with Rex or something. Who knows?
Maybe go down fighting together.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. Maybe that's his episode. Maybe that's where we see, I'm going to do it. I'm Hot Callus. It's just going to start being a thing. So why not just get on board? Yeah, I mean, you might see that's his episode. Him and Zeb go off to do a mission they're not going to come back from. And that's them sort of, they kind of bow out together as brothers. Like kind of rounding off that storyline we first saw way back when.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, that brings it full circle for them.
Yeah,
but again,
exactly.
this was a teaser meant to tease and get us asking questions, and we don't know what's going on. I'm still sticking with my prediction that there's going to be a Saw Gerrera versus Thrawn subcurrent in this final season. We'll see how that plays out.
I don't think it's going to be too good for either of them.
No, I mean this is it for Thrawn, right? He's going to die in episode 15. That's it for Thrawn.
Again, we don't know. We just don't know. But it's a likely assumption at this point, but you never know what these guys have in store for us.
I got to imagine that's the end of Thrawn. You'd think the Emperor would have him at the Battle of Endor. Anyway, that's it for Rebels Talk. That was fun. I feel like we're just getting started here, guys.
Yeah, it's really spinning our wheels. Lots to say. But
we're not spinning our wheels. We're contributing to fandom here, you jackass.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just there's like I said, there's just so much to say in so little time. It looks like my therapy session's coming to a close. You guys, checks are in the mail. Thanks for listening.
You're welcome, buddy.
Yeah. Anyway, Rob, really, really nice speaking with you again. We got to do it more often. Not
absolutely, mate. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, and recording in the afternoon is kind of fun too.
Yeah, it must be nice.
Yeah, it's different. It's definitely not going to bed at 1 a.m. on a Sunday.
Yeah, well, thankfully, so far, I haven't had to do that, touch wood, but we'll see how we get on.
Cool.
Yeah, my fingers are crossed for you. All right, Corey.
I got the day off tomorrow, so I suppose it doesn't matter.
Yeah, talk about those talk about those Black Series toys for me, boys.
Yeah, we'll see where we go.
Thrawn, Tarkin, let's do it. Yeah.
Corey, where can people find you?
You know it, man. Y'all can find me at Chop Rules with a Z.
Good. Now get the hell out of here.
All right. Peace, boys. Have a great show.
Right, take care, buddy.
Ciao, everybody.
And then there were two. So, Rob, I'll give you the option here. Are we going to talk about toys, or are we going to talk about Battlefront 2?
Do you know, I think toys.
You want to go with toys?
I think, as much as I like Battlefront, I don't really have a lot to say on it beyond the single-player campaign. Sounds cool, but I mean, I wasn't an instant adopter on the first Battlefront, so I don't imagine it's going to be something I'm going to be snapping up day one anyway. So it's not something I'm jazzed for, especially. But it does look. I mean, it looks cool. The trailer makes it look excellent.
It looks like the thing that's going to finally pull me back into gaming.
Okay.
I keep in my mind I'm still a video game player, but the reality is it's going on 5 years since I've really played one.
It sounds like me with guitars. It's like, yeah, I'm still a guitarist, like in my heart, but realistically, I've not picked one up in several years, and I'm probably not very good anymore.
Yeah, and
not ever was.
I feel so out of touch with what's gone on. Like back in my day, 5 years ago, like it wasn't the same. I think it's so fundamentally different now. Like I was all over Battlefront 1. I wanted to play it so badly, and then I found out there was no campaign mode.
Yep.
And wait, forget it. I feel betrayed by this. I'm out. Get out of here. And I didn't even give it a second thought.
Yeah.
They heard the cries from fandom who wanted a campaign. So out comes this game, and it looks so cool. It just, I've got to do this. But it sounds like you're going to be able to play both sides of the fence.
Well, I don't know. They've only announced the Imperial side so far, right?
Well, I read somewhere that
They've
you'll
got
be able to play as Luke.
the female type. Oh, right, I see. Yeah, in the multiplayer, you get to choose heroes. If it works the same as Battlefront 1, if you do certain things, you find certain tokens and stuff in the game, you get to play as a hero.
Okay.
And there's like a variety of heroes from both sides. Like there's Luke and there's Leia and Han, and then there's Jyn Erso, Lando on one side, and then you got like Boba Fett, Dengar, Director Krennic. Obviously, I'm happy about that. Vader, Palpatine. Can't remember the others. But there's a bevy in the first game of sort of heroes from across the various films. But in the campaign, they've only announced one bit of it so far, which is a female TIE, what looks like a female TIE squadron pilot, who's kind of
I
don't really know what the
sort
story
of a blend
involves.
of stormtrooper and TIE fighter pilot, and she's part of some kind of special forces unit. She's the commander of. Her name is actually Iden Versio.
That's right. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, we pick up the trail with her as soon as Death Star 2 explodes, and then we carry on for the next 30 years. But I don't know how I feel about playing an Imperial and having to kill the good guys. I'm conflicted by that.
Yeah, I'm a little bit kind of weird. I find it a little bit weird that the EA have been doing this a lot in the last couple of games. They seem to fix the campaign. Maybe it's easier for the purposes of animation and stuff, but they seem to fix the campaign to only allow you to play as like one gender, one ethnicity. And it's like, okay, I sort of get, like I say, there's certainly technical appeals for doing it that way, but so many games let you choose. It seems weird that they're not giving you that choice. But, I haven't seen the story yet, so it may be that, maybe there's more to it, and maybe there's certain games where you switch between different characters over the course of the story and stuff. So it may be that it's something like that, and she's just one of many, or whatever. But I do find it a little odd that that's the case.
Yeah, hopefully more confirmations come out as we go along here, and I'm sure they will. But I mean,
yeah,
I can't hold out much longer. I especially if this game is going to be canon, and I know that within hours somebody will have played this entire game, and all the cutscenes will be stitched together and thrown up on YouTube, so you won't miss a thing as far as the canon story goes.
Yeah, you can very much jump in and like, oh, okay, now I know what's relevant to me, relevant to my interests.
Yeah, and maybe I can save myself $600, right?
Well, there is that, yeah.
So maybe that's what I
do,
do, but I really do want to try this game out.
Yeah, they're good. Like I say, the first one's good fun. I know it got a lot of stick when it first came out because it was considered to be a little light on feature set, but they've released some paid stuff. They've released some free stuff that's padded the game out quite a bit, and it's a lot of fun from my point of view. Anyway,
Hey, did I just hear a speeder bike in the background?
Yeah.
Oh, my first speeder bike.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah, it's been known. It's one of those side effects of living on the forest moon of Endor, but the rents are great.
I imagine. That's okay. I'm honored to have had that TSW tradition bestowed upon me.
Oh, well, good. Yeah.
All right, so the toy talk. I mean, I'm sure there's more than was revealed that we'll talk about, but the vintage 3 3/4 line is coming back, and not too much given, but there's a variety of fan sites that have polls open right now, or they're accepting submissions right now, so you can go over there and submit which character you'd like to see in this lineup. But I've given zero thought to this, and honestly, I don't really care who wins the fan vote. But I'm stoked that this vintage line is coming back.
Yeah, I mean, it seems pretty cool. It's looking at some of the options they've got would be cool to see all sorts of stuff. Considering how many different ranges they can choose from now, in terms of different properties and universes and all that sort of stuff, it's kind of intriguing as to what's coming next.
Yeah, and it clicked. The light bulb clicked in my head because I've been sort of searching for these 40th anniversary 6-inch that are on the vintage card.
Yes.
But then I go, what? I don't need to do that. I in my closet, when I get around to finishing my basement the way I want to, I'll get those out, and it's the ones from 10 years ago where they redid the whole vintage collection.
Yeah.
I'll just relive that. Like these 3 3/4 are more than enough for me to be happy with. So I'm so glad that they're bringing these back. It kind of saved me this whole venture of picking up these outrageously expensive toys.
Yes, they do seem to be rather on the pricey side.
And like I spoke about last week, especially the Vader with that cardboard diorama. $80 here. I'm not. It must be 40, 50 pounds for you.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Ugh, can you imagine for one 6-inch figure? I know Corey said he's going to do
incredible.
it, and Tim over at the Nerd Room is going to do it. And if you're a serious collector,
believe me,
power to
I've
you.
considered it. Yeah,
whew.
yeah, but man, it's a hard road to hoe, that collectible market. It is it's a tough one, but I can dip into certain bits where I can. Like there's certain things I can justify, but that's a little bit too much for me personally.
Yeah, and especially doing it with Vader. Like now that I think about my collection, that soon I'll be able to get it out and get Mark a video for a TSW fan zone.
Yeah, I've been meaning to do that too. I've got some new stuff to share. So
like I've got
it's just a question of sitting down.
Yeah, I've got a ton of Vader figures, and it would have been nice to have added that one to the collection. But wow, the pricing on that is not to my taste, man. But speaking of 6-inch toys, there's a really cool Thrawn set that was unveiled.
Yeah.
Isn't that gorgeous?
It is rather nice.
Holy.
I do find myself very, very tempted.
I don't know what the price tag will be on that one.
I dread to think.
Like that.
I really do.
I mean, if that Vader is 40, 50 pounds, $80 for me, this has got to be $100 for me, easy.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, it's probably like you're probably looking at. I mean, we've got there's a comic shop kind of round the corner from where I work. And they still have the San Diego Comic-Con. There's like an Obi-Wan Kenobi with a cantina table or something like that. And that still goes for £75. So that's 130 Canadian maybe.
Yeah, once we add our 50,000% tax, sure.
Yeah, I mean shipping it as well has got to be a bastard. That's something that's never seeming to change. Because I was going to sign up for the Smuggler's Bounty box. But if you get that in Canada.
I think we do.
I
think we're eligible to get it here.
Yeah, it's like a loot crate style thing for those who aren't familiar. And there are places in the UK that import them, but they charge £50 a time, and it's ridiculous. I can't justify it.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though I'm sure the contents are good fun, I can't justify it for £50 a quarter. Well, it's quarterly, so I suppose it's a little bit more affordable than what I currently do. But it's also would have to at that price, it would have to replace what I currently get. So. I would be reluctant to do so.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, bit of a shame.
It is. It is a shame that these things are just so outrageously priced.
Yeah, and like I say, the logistics of transporting them to places around the globe is also prohibitively expensive as well.
Yep, never fun. I just free shipping to me is like the best thing in the world, and if it's not offered, it becomes almost an unjustifiable expense immediately.
It does. I find myself put off otherwise good deals because the shipping costs. Even if the deal itself overall is still good, I'm sort of swayed away from it just by the fact that I have to pay for shipping. Just feels wrong inherently.
It's morally wrong.
Yeah, I feel like Amazon's broken my brain. We've talked about how many times my brain's been broken in the last couple of years, and I think Amazon is a contributor as well.
Absolutely, they are.
Got a lot to answer for.
So we also got a Rey Black Series, Rey with her speeder, her Jakku speeder.
Yes,
it looks gorgeous.
Pretty cool. Yeah, she looked. The only thing is, I don't know if she's wearing layers, but she looks hench as all hell. Like she looks like she's been. There's a gym on Jakku, and that's all she can afford. Like it's a 1/4 portion a week or something, and she's just doing reps every second of every day because she just looks like enormous.
They must have had the same
like
sculptor from the Power of the Force 2 line 20 years ago.
I was about to say the 97 Power of the Force stuff is exactly the same stuff. It's like Luke looks ridiculously top heavy, and you can see him in the film, and he's like this sort of doesn't even fit in his shirt. Whereas on the Power of the Force lines, it's like stretching across his chest like He-Man.
You got to love the excesses of the 90s, don't you?
Oh, for sure, yeah. I mean, having grown up in that time, I enjoyed quite a few of them.
And even that, the Ray figure will be priced at $60, which again, for you is 35 pounds.
Yeah. I mean, that's, I don't know, for that one, it seems like a less of a jump. Mainly, I suppose, because it comes with an accessory, which is something. But yeah, I can still picture when it comes to seeing it in the shop, me still going, you know what? No. I just think about all the other stuff I can get with that, you know, makes, frankly, for more entertaining YouTube videos.
Yeah. So, I mean, the same might apply as well, unless you have some sort of fetish for Luke's land speeder. He's got...
Oh, man. We had a good old chat in the... there's a VIP... Talk Star Wars VIP Facebook group, which I know you're a part of.
Yep.
Carl.
I finally asked Mark to let me in after months of being a supporter. I'm like, wait, what? Why aren't I a part of this?
Wait, what? Yeah, exactly. Just,
it's a hop in place.
You're not getting the full benefit.
I'm surprised by the amount of activity in there.
There is rather a large amount. There's some great people in there. One of the discussions was about that model, and I said, that is a crap hat. And
I saw that.
I think it was Dave Donovan was like, oh no, it's really accurate to the movie one. I was like, I didn't say it wasn't accurate. I said it was crap.
It's a bad hat.
It's nothing to do. Yeah, it's just a bad hat, Harry. It's not it wasn't a knock on the modelers at all. They did a great job recreating a crappy hat. It's awful.
It's really, yeah. Hopefully it does its
it's
job
like you should
well.
have like sunblock on each nostril and stuff. It's just awful.
Well, at least Luke isn't wearing black socks with sandals.
Well, this is true. We can count our small mercies on that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, $60 price tag on that one. I don't. So far, nothing's really ringing my bell. I don't know if I'm going to jump into any of these.
I saw a Thrawn Funko Pop, so there's that for me. That's one of the ones that I've always been keen to get, and now that it looks like it already exists, maybe even. So I may be having to look out for that one.
All right, fair enough. And
yeah, Funko Pops are my sort of small vice. They're very much a dip in and out kind of based on characters I like. So I have some Star Wars ones, I have some Marvel ones, I have some DC ones.
Okay, cool. Well, you gotta you gotta allow yourself that release valve somewhere, right?
Absolutely.
Can't keep denying yourself.
Obviously, no, this is true. Anybody who kind of follows what I do on YouTube knows that I have other plastic vices, but Funko Pops is probably the one I keep the most control of, to give you an idea.
Yeah, absolutely. So Commander Gree, he's in there. Is this going to be... Yeah, there you go. There's a 6-inch Thrawn without all the trappings of that other larger set.
Oh, okay. What, like just a Black Series Thrawn?
Yeah.
Oh, now we're talking.
There we go.
Okay, maybe for that and a Krennic, and maybe I'll be a happy man. I still don't have a Krennic Black Series, so I need to fix that at some point.
And wait, is this another Luke and his land speeder? I don't understand what that's about. The only difference is he's got the poncho here.
Yeah.
Anyway, more pictures of Thrawn, and then Jaina Solo. She was the fan vote, right? Back in 2015.
Yeah,
or 2016?
I believe so. Yeah.
And she's got this black pilot suit on. It's a pretty cool looking figure, although I'm not very familiar with the character since I stopped reading Legends, I think before she was even born.
Oh, okay. Wow, okay. So you didn't even, like, the Thrawn trilogy was when she was first born.
Really?
So,
well,
yeah,
then
very,
my
very,
just
very
crap
first born.
then.
Oh, okay. Like, yeah, she's she goes through a lot of change in that series. She's pretty deep character by the end.
Yeah, from the looks of it, for sure. Tarkin with a torture droid.
Okay.
And then here's
oh yeah, I see it. Yeah.
What's her name? Eden Versio from Battlefront 2. She's getting a figure.
Oh, already?
Yeah,
Wow.
6-inch Black Series. That's cool.
Yeah.
I wonder if that'll just be on shelves or if that will be available with who knows, the PS4 Star Wars set.
Oh, they sometimes they're sometimes known to do that. Like they'll sometimes bring in a figurine of some sort into a sort of special edition, super mega edition, and that will usually retail for sort of over £100, including the game, obviously. Although I have seen special editions that don't come with the game. It's like you guys are arseholes.
Yeah,
like come on.
It is frustrating the way they package these things. Like, they know how to screw us. And
yeah, it's like you're looking at dropping 120 quid, which for some people is their entire gaming budget for a quarter, and that you want them to buy something that doesn't come with the disc. Give me a fucking break.
Yeah, no, it's
Seriously.
really frustrating.
Yeah, big time.
Okay, quickly onto books, really fast. The ones that jumped, I mean, there's a whole slew of books coming. I mean, it feels like a dozen of them, but really the three that stand out to me, the Phasma one, I'm interested in that, at least up until I hear the synopsis. The Young Leia by Claudia Gray, all over that.
She's, if there's one person in the sort of expanded universe who gets Leia, it's Claudia Gray. So that's a good pick.
Oh man, and finally we're seemingly getting more Luke content. It seems like almost like an anthology type book.
Yeah,
will jump around his life.
Yeah,
that's another one I'm going to be interested in.
I'm not familiar with Ken Liu. Is he got sort of Star Wars form, or is he new to the franchise?
Nothing I have is from him.
That's a hell of a first go.
Yeah, no pressure, Ken Liu.
Exactly. Yeah, like no, just do what you like as long as it satisfies these very prescriptive boxes.
Just don't mess it up.
Yeah, exactly. No pressure, mate. We'll come and shoot you. I mean, check on you if things are getting tough.
Yeah, exactly. We've got nothing on Luke aside from one withdrawn hood at the end of The Force Awakens. It's been absolutely nothing radio silence on Luke. So
yeah,
to get this will be nice. I don't know what they're going to tell us leading into the Last Jedi. My guess is not very much. But still, it's nice to see that the wax seal is finally melting with regards to Luke.
Yes, they're finally expanding beyond. Is it Heir to the Jedi? That the canon book. Finally expanding beyond that, which was
Tootle Fruits?
pretty forgettable, if I recall.
Bearing
in mind that I read it and I can't tell you a thing about it.
I was considering it. Like I was going to be one of those people that was going to read everything, which of course is almost impossible.
Very hard.
But then I was reading a review that was so scathing that I was like, I'm never reading this. I can't do it. Yeah. It's just too bad.
For me, it wasn't even that it was bad. It was just forgettable. There was one bit in there that was so good. I remember there was one sequence that was so good I thought it deserved its own book, and everything else was just forgettable.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's the books, and I think that's pretty much it. I think we ran the gamut. I mean, there's lots of stuff from Celebration that we didn't touch on, but I think we hit the big things.
I think so. I think you could easily do 7 hours, but then it's like how much of it would be filler? It's like it's good to do a kind of solid 2.5 with the good stuff, because that's the stuff that people actually care about our opinions on. I think as well.
Yeah, I think so. And to be frank, the stuff that I've left out are things that I could not give you much of an opinion on anyway, aside from a very superficial
for sure.
one.
Yeah.
Anyway, the closing ceremonies just wrapped up not too long ago, and nothing came out of that.
No big reveals.
So
no big reveals. It's not surprising. Like I think when James mentioned that Easter weekend thing, I was like, "Yep, you know what? That's probably it. That's probably exactly right."
Yeah, and I think they wanted obviously the nostalgia factor from '77 to hold part of the prominence of the weekend, and The Last Jedi was another leg of that, and of course Carrie Fisher being the final one. If there was 3 things to take away from Star Wars, or 3 things that they wanted to focus on, I would imagine it's those 3 things. And if they had announced, for example, Obi-Wan, and I know a lot of people were expecting that, that would have overshadowed almost everything.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a theory that is there something called D23, like a Disney sort of announcement thing. There's a few people saying that we might see something at that just kind of they'll use that for kind of like a casual drop of like, oh yeah, and then the Obi-Wan movie, and everybody would be like, what? But there won't be this big screaming auditorium of overexcitable people. I
have a feeling there's
just kind of losing their rag.
I have a feeling there's not going to be an announcement on Obi-Wan until I don't think it'll be as far out as next Celebration, which is about 2 years
from now.
That's
like 2 years. Yeah.
But maybe San Diego Comic-Con next year, or maybe could be D23 this year, or maybe D24 next year. Hard to say, but I think it's off the table for 2017.
Yeah, I think you may be right. I mean, the thing to keep in mind is, obviously, we've got 3 movies we know of already, right? So we got Episode 8, which is coming this year, Episode 9 the year after next, and then Han Solo next year. So we've got stuff to keep us occupied, but beyond that, there's going to be, that's going to come around very quickly. So unless they've got stuff ready to talk about soon rather than later, they're going to find that people are already kind of keen to know what's next. And some people, like the sad, fickle minority, will have already moved on to the next thing if there's not a constant stream of news.
Exactly. And a
it's
lot
not
of
like
people were miffed, right? Where's Ewan McGregor? Why didn't he have a video at the 40th anniversary panel? That's easily done. He seems engaged with fandom. Why? For sure. So people took that as a bigger sign that, well, he didn't do that because he's actually in Orlando and he's going to be there to reveal. Mm-hmm. But when you looked at the remaining panels after Friday,
what was left? Yeah,
where does he fit in? Unless it was the closing ceremony. So I know a lot of people were kind of hanging on. Please, 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 please. Aw.
Yeah. Yeah, I can understand that. But, I think James is right. I think that if you're going to announce stuff, the big stuff has to come before the weekend because you're going to lose some of the social media buzz. A chunk of it's going to be off limits because they're just not going to be at their phones.
The new cycle is thrown askew with people on vacations and whatnot. So, that's a great point.
Exactly.
And anyway, that is it. I think we've gone here like 2 3/4 hours. I think it's time to put a pin in this episode.
All right. Lovely.
Oh, man, Rob, this was so much fun. 3 hours of catching up with you once a year just isn't enough.
It really isn't. We really need to figure out a way to make this happen more often because I do so enjoy. I mean, obviously, I've popped up on other shows here and there, but like Tumbling Saber is the first one that ever was kind enough to have me as a guest. So it's, it holds a special place in my heart for that.
Well, it's an open door policy for you, my friend. Come on, you can come on anytime you want.
Oh, marvelous! Well, I have to keep that. I have to hold you to that and make you regret it.
Well, keeping in mind that
why the hell did I say that to him for?
Typically, when we record, it's about 2:30 in the morning for you. So.
Well, I don't sleep fantastically well, so you never know.
Well, I know you've got Emotionally 14 going, and it's kind of undergoing. I don't want to say a rebranding, but you're ramping things up there.
There's some small there's some small changes I'm making, which are hopefully going to make things that look a bit more, a little bit more slick. I got an email that's very exciting that I'll talk to you. I'm quite happy to talk to you about it offline, but I don't want to say too much because I don't want to jinx it in a public forum for now. But suffice it to say, if I can pull off what I'm hoping to pull off in the next couple of weeks, I will be a very happy man, and people will be, I think, quite surprised by how cool what I've got to sort of hopefully share is going to be.
Awesome. So if people do want to follow and check and wait on pins and needles, seeing if this all comes to fruition, where can they find you?
The best place to find me is at Rob Wade Vision on Twitter. I'm on Instagram, but I very rarely post. I always forget to kind of do the photo stuff. But Rob Wade Vision on Twitter is the best place, and I also have at Emotionally 14, which is where everything gets sort of shared and spammed on a pretty continuous loop because I want people to see what I've done.
Well, you got to get your work out there.
Absolutely. I mean, it's in this modern age, we have so much good stuff to choose from. The best way to get my stuff seen is to trick people into thinking mine must be the best because it's everywhere.
Yes, sir. All right. I can't thank you enough for taking 3 hours out of your Easter Sunday.
Oh, dude, it's my pleasure. I've had a chance to eat some chocolate, so I've had everything I need out of Easter Sunday today. So to add this on is just icing on the cake.
And people can also find you typically on Talk Star Wars, although I don't believe you'll be in the next episode. It'll be a hodgepodge of clips that Mark's cobbled together from Orlando.
I believe so. Yeah, I've not really been keeping up with. I've caught up with bits and pieces of what they're doing, but I don't really know what's going on, and that's kind of exciting. Because usually I sort of get to Monday and I'm like, oh, here comes Talk Star Wars. And this week I'm like, what the hell did they do? Because I have no idea. They're keeping sort of, they keep me in the loop on most stuff, like the very basics, like who, when people got where and who's arrived safely and stuff, which is, to be fair, the bit I care about. But I'm not really sure on what's next. So for all I know, there could be, a Skyhoppers Talk Star Wars mashup. There could be, Rogue Squadron popping in. It's absolutely unknown, and it's very, very interesting as a result.
Well, as always, on Mondays, Talk Star Wars is my first podcast to hit play on once I'm finished editing mine.
Yeah.
So that'll be the case again tomorrow for sure. Looking
well, thanks very much. That's very kind. Yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, there are certain podcasts in my list that are appointment viewing, and you'll be pleased to know that Talk Star Wars, Tumbling Saber, is one of those podcasts.
Oh, well, thank you, sir. It is really nice to have a really supportive community, as small and growing as it is.
Yes,
we do have some hardcore fans, for which I am.
Oh, sure. It's one of the things I envy. You know, from the emotionally 14 point of view, it's one of the things I envy the most about the Commonwealth. Is just the sheer volume of engagement from these awesome people. Like, I do sometimes feel with my other projects like I'm shouting into a vacuum. But, you know, being on Talk Star Wars is like the opposite, and being part of the Commonwealth is the absolute antithesis of that, because everything is just so engaged and everybody's talking and everybody's enjoying each other's points of view, and it's all very, you know, it's all done very kindly, and there's no real beef going on. You know, I've seen little bits and pieces, but never anything sort of significant, never anything long lasting beyond a disagreement. But, you know, that's what's wonderful about the Commonwealth is, you know, all that stuff is there, but it's also bolstered by this incredible community of people who enjoy the stuff we do.
Yeah, it's amazing to me. It's amazing to me that people will actually message me, take time out, message me going, "Where's your podcast? I want your show."
Yeah,
wow,
exactly.
Okay.
It's baffling. It's wonderful. Please never stop, people listening. But you know, it is mind blowing. Sometimes I kind of play up to the whole. You know, I play like a bit of a comedy egotist on Twitter sometimes, but the truth is I'm absolutely humbled by this stuff.
Absolutely.
You know, I'm just absolutely baffled by why people could find me interesting to listen to, and you know, so it's wonderful to be part of this stuff.
Well,
and like I say, being on this sort of thing is exactly the kind of benefits I can reap endlessly, and would do so all day.
It's so much fun, and you know, truth be told, you know, as someone who you produce a podcast and all kinds of other stuff, you know how much energy and focus and time it takes to do these things, and sometimes you just feel like, you know what, I don't know what I'm getting out of this. It's fun, but there's other things that need my attention. I got to peel this back, and then to be honest, that's happened to me twice. I'd say in the last 6 weeks, it's been really tiring, and I've said, you know what, maybe I need to peel back. Pump the brakes just a little bit here. And then unsolicited, out of the blue, I get a message from somebody going,
"Yep,
I just want to tell you how much I appreciate what you're doing." And then you go, well,
I'm right there with you.
There you go. I can't.
Yeah, I'm absolutely right there with you. I get the same, you know, in a similar way. Every now and then they're like, "Oh, you know," because I have, I don't know if you've seen these. I have like automated Twitter messages just to say like, you know, "Hey, thanks for following," just in case I don't get to them personally.
Yeah,
because I do try and sort of message back, talk to people on, you know, certainly ones I've believed to be real people rather than sort of bot accounts. I tend to try and get to them and say hello and tell them like, "Oh, this, you know, this might, what we do here might be up your street, and what I do, you know, like, if you like Star Wars, just, you know, talk Star Wars. If you like this stuff, you emotionally 14, blah blah blah." And you know, what's wonderful is when somebody comes back and says, "I already know who you are. Like, I listen to Talk Star Wars every week." I'm like, "Oh man, that's wonderful."
It's so cool.
Yeah.
Well, what else is cooler than listening to Talk Star Wars is checking out the entirety of the Star Wars Commonwealth. So
exactly.
Yeah. So we talked about TSW, you know, Tumbling Saber, but also don't forget about the other founding member of the Commonwealth, which is Generation X-Wing. And then we've got our other friends, the Rogue Squadron podcast, the Skyhoppers, and the Nerd Room. And
yes,
I'm so happy to be part of a group of really talented. And every week we find out somebody else has a new project in the hopper. And wow, you are unbelievably talented.
Yeah, yeah, it's like that, isn't it? Every time somebody announces something new, like, good God, you can do that too. Come on, like, leave some talent for the rest of us to draw from. Like, I've got precious little in my veins, and I need to drink every last drop I can. Come on, leave the reservoir dry, you swines.
On the other hand, it's sort of like, you know, looping us all back to the beginning, where you and I were talking about Mark and how hard he works at TSW and how he's prolific in his production. He's been sort of an inspiration for me to raise my own bar as much as I can before I burn
Oh,
out.
likewise. I've learned so much from just kind of being a sponge around him. Just even little things like how to use social media more effectively and things like that. And I've grown these kind of communities around what I'm doing so much more since all this, since Talk Star Wars and since the Commonwealth. And I'm just, you have to be a sponge around knowledgeable people. I kind of subscribe to this as a philosophy of life. You have to walk into every situation thinking I can learn from this person, and what you learn might not be something you think of using every day and blah blah blah, but you have to make the most of opportunities to absorb what knowledge you can from people who know what they're talking about. And so you go into every exchange, or in my mind at least, you go into every exchange like, what can I learn from this person? What can they teach me? And how can I use it to make my what I do better? And the Commonwealth is possibly the easiest place for me to get that knowledge and to absorb that stuff, because everybody in it knows their stuff, and there's some aspect of life that they are just killing it on.
I couldn't agree more. So anyway, check out those Star Wars Commonwealth shows. Everybody there would be super grateful to have your earballs for a couple hours a week.
Absolutely.
If you can, head over to iTunes, drop us a quick review. That would be amazing. That's the best way for you to say thank you to us and help us get some more exposure. And other than that, we're done. Hope you enjoyed these 3 hours, man. 3 friggin' hours of Star Wars talk. I love it. I love that we can go for 3 hours on news. Stay tuned. Later this week, we should have a fresh episode of Sith Disturbers for you. It's been a couple weeks since we got to that, so we'll be happy to bring you that. And until then, this is Kyle signing off. Rob, thank you so much, and we will...
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah, man. We'll talk to you guys later. Ciao for now.
Self-redeeming qualities, have they hindered me? Hindering, was I blind to see? Blind to see that you needed me, all of me. Well, you were there for me. I will be there too, watching, listening. Every moment wanting all of you, and I believe I can save you, just don't let me go. And I can see I'll be waiting, always waiting, just don't let me go. Just don't let me go. Time goes on and I'm questioning all the things I've seen, crazy things I've seen as I'm watching you walking away from